Hello, 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 Filter Free Amerika listeners. We did it. We made it. We're back together again. It keeps happening. It's so crazy, guys, how we make it happen every single time, but I'm glad it does. Yes, let me acknowledge right away that my voice sounds probably a little extra annoying to you right now because my throat is wrecked. I am let's see, I was sick. I was sick like a solid 5 days of just like this crazy cold and sinus infection. And like 3 of those 5 days, I was in bed and just suffering, just crying out for death to relieve my suffering. I was literally at that point. It was so horrible. And now it's been, 5, 6, 7 days now. And I feel much better, but I've still got this mucus factory going on. You know, I guess in lieu of a normal size brain, I have additional like mucus generate. What I don't know what science works. Whatever makes the mucus inside your face and brain and skull, I've got extra of that shit, and it has just been pumping out at a crazy rate. Like if mucus was some kind of natural resource that you could be refined into a fuel, I would be an oil baron, a booger baron. That's what I would be right now. I would be a booger baron, and I'd have all the money in the world, and I'd be in the 1% of the 1%, and I wouldn't care about anything else. But anyway, I'm not that. I'm just a poor independent booger farmer, and here we are. So that's why my voice sounds like garbage. That's why this episode is late. This one should have been up on Tuesday. But I had no voice on Tuesday, and I couldn't record the intro to get this one prepared. And why the episodes are great and the interviews are okay. You really tune in for the intros and outros of these podcasts. And, I record those late, like right before the episode goes up. Maybe I should reevaluate that system. But that is the excuse, as if I ever need another excuse for why episodes go up later on this place. But you keep coming back, though, so I'm just going to assume that our relationship is still in good standing, and you just patiently wait till I get around to getting an episode up. Plus, it's been a crazy week besides the sickness, man. Let me get some stuff off my congested mucus-filled chest. Bad news, regular listeners, you guys know I am a dog enthusiast. I'm a dog lover, not like that, but I love dogs. And I have 2 dogs living with me currently. Bentley, my American and English bulldog mix, just the cutest boy in the world. And then the most recent addition to the family was Daisy, was one that we adopted from the Humane Society. We have her, 2 years now? I think going on just 2 years. And she's a pit bull, just gorgeous, beautiful pit bull, and sweet as sweet can be. And I'm about to cough. If I cough, I'm not editing that shit out. You're just going to have to deal with it. Hold on, let me take a drink. And a couple weeks ago, we had Daisy into the vet to get a mass removed. I was actually right by her cooch. It was like right between her asshole and her cooch hole. She had like a mass growing right there. And we had to get it removed. It was like the size of, almost the size of a golf ball. Whatever. And then, of course, they removed it and then sent it off to be tested to make sure that see if it was cancerous or not. And sadly, it is cancerous. And she has a crazy, I forget the technical name for the type of cancer it is, but it's like crazy, like rapid growth cancer. And sadly, the doctor said that she's going to have 4 to 6 months to live. As of today, she seems happy and healthy, and everything's normal, and I don't see there's no growths on her or anything obvious. But yeah, so that was the bad part of the week. And that was before I even got sick. That happened. And so that was another reason things have been weird here around the Filter Free Amerika bunker. Things have been strange. I also started a new day job. and it has a pretty steep learning curve for me. So I've been doing a lot of extra working and hours and things like that, and that's been crazy. But anyway, my apologies for the late episode again. But let's talk about this episode before I lose my voice completely. The guest this episode is comedian and a friend of mine, Trever Mala. I hope I'm saying his last name right. I call him Trev. Trever Mala. He's a comedian and he's a host of a conspiracy-related podcast called Think Stopper. Think Stopper is the name of his podcast, and you can find that at thinkstopper.com. Thinkstopper.com. And he and I both are conspiracy aficionados. Really get into the conspiracy talk and kicking around the ideas of the what ifs and trying to figure out the mysteries of the world. So, of course, when he joined me on the podcast, we had to talk in some way about conspiracies. And I kind of wanted to attack it from a different angle. Like, I didn't want to talk about specific conspiracies, even though we did get into a few of those. I wanted to talk about kind of where he got his conspiracy-ness. Is that a word? I don't know. I make up words here. That's what I do. I wanted to talk to him about that and kind of what pushed him on the journey of trying to understand conspiracies. Just trying to make it sound a little more grandiose than it is. But that's what we start talking with. I shared kind of where I came from with things, and he shared where he came from with things. And so we get into that, and that's really, I would say, the bulk of the conversation. If from there it moves into more of justification for asking questions, for having a conspiratorial mind, to question the official narratives of stories, to do so intelligently, not get all crazy with it and lizard people with it, but to ask questions and why things are alarming to us, and I think that's probably the bulk of it. But then we get into a few conspiracy things as well. I will warn you ahead of time. Trigger warning. He's an anti-vaxxer. Some people get all freaked the fuck out about that. I don't know if I've ever made a position on it. I've been vaccinated. I understand the power of medication and medicines and science and things like that. But kind of my excuse, if you will, that I give with everything is, what if, I don't know everything 100%. I know what people tell me. I know what science tells me. But I wouldn't be surprised if things were wrong, or things that were being misrepresented, or things weren't as safe as they said that they were, So I have questions and I have doubts. I don't advocate one way or the other. I don't know. It's a very difficult thing, and it's a very emotional, hot button topic, especially right now. And I get that. I understand that. And, I respect that, but again, Filter Free Amerika, filterless conversations. We're going to ask questions. And when we get off into conspiracy related topics, you might get upset by something that we say or how we say it or whatever. But, I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm not going to be one of those people, either in life or on podcasts or wherever else, that I'm going to, hold back my guest or myself from just practicing in the act of thought and having conversations and thinking things or wondering about things and not accepting things blindly and at face value, and take them, whatever shit's shoved in their face and believing that. Just not the way that it is. If you got a problem with that, then, so be it. If you don't want to listen anymore, I understand that as well. I hope you stay, but I can understand, that some people react certain ways to certain things. I totally expect that, and expect to get some hateful comments in reply to this episode. But it is what it is. Speak your mind, and just know I would always offer you the same kind of free speech zone, if you will. Sad to say that we have to fucking say that shit now. That if you have something that you want to say, either to me or whatever, I would listen to you and respectfully listen to you and try to respectfully have a conversation with you, whether I believed what you're saying or not. Excuse me. Oh yeah, let me hurry up. What else do I need to say? Please take time to rate and review the podcast. I don't do that enough. I should be saying that every episode, and I often forget. But if you've got time, please Go to wherever you listen to the Filter Free America podcast. Give it a rating. Give it a review, especially if you're on iTunes. Go. If you're an iTunes listener, I need you. We got a nice double-digit number of reviews on there now, but we need to keep those coming in. 5-star reviews, and if you just take time to write something, just helps grow the footprint of the podcast, gets it out there and in the world more. And of course, iTunes is the big gun as far as listenership goes. So that's why that one's important. Lastly, let me mention the sponsor. Can't forget those guys. Simple website .us, simplewebsite.us. Simplewebsite.us. Regular listeners, that what do they do? Well, if you want to build a Squarespace website and you want some help doing it, Simple Website is an expert in using Squarespace. That's what they do. They take that tool that most people can do on their own, or some people, if they have time, will do it on their own. And basically, they do that for you. You just tell them what they want, and they use that website builder and make it as good as they could possibly be. If you'd like an example of some of their work, all you need to do is go to filterfreeamerica.com. Filter Free America, America misspelled with a K.com. That is of course, the podcast website that they build and maintain for me. So you get to see a very good example of the work that they do right there. I've actually got to get some edits to them for some things I need to update on there that I've neglected to do. So it's coming, Ryan. Stand by. But yeah, simplewebsite.us. Please go to their website. Even if you don't want to use them for their full services, they do offer some free tips and tricks if you want to go at it at your own. And I guarantee you that you will pick up at least one or two little tricks to make your process building your simple website, your Squarespace website much easier with the help of Simple Website. But check them out, man, and see what they could do for you. They've made my life much easier because I would still be building the website. Okay, anyway, we got to get this episode going. We're 11 minutes in, and my voice sounds like I've been gargling. Dick's covered in razor blades. And while some of you might enjoy the sound of that, it's driving my brain crazy hearing it in the headphones right now. So we're going to talk to my buddy Trez Mala. He was in town from Las Vegas doing a show with me. So we had to sit down. We had to talk about conspiracies, where our desire for conspiracies came, or to seek out and understand conspiracies, where that came from in each of us. And we talk about a few conspiracies. He's got some cool information. One of his part-time jobs is he works as a tour guide at the Hoover Dam. So he tells you kind of some stuff I didn't know about the Hoover Dam. I want to go check it out when I go to Vegas and hang with him and get a private tour from him. And then, of course, we talk about vaccinations. So, sorry, not sorry, but here it comes. So we need a name for this episode. Let's see. We got to keep it simple, man. I'm a conspiracy theorist, and this is why, with Trever Mala, right here on the Filter Free America podcast. Let's go.
All right. So why don't you start first by telling me, when were you first exposed, infected with the conspiracy mind?
When was I first exposed, or kind of didn't see things the way they were supposed to be?
That, or maybe the first time you even heard the term conspiracy? When did that even become a thing to you?
Well, what's funny is the word conspiracy has never meant anything bad or conspiratorial for that matter.
Right.
Like growing up, my uncle had a T-shirt business when I was a kid called T-shirt Conspiracy.
Okay.
So the word was always, it was defanged, I guess, to me, or didn't have, But I was a skateboarder, and, you're growing up to think that, I was a skateboarder, in the 80s, the late 80s, early 90s, and as a kid. And you're led to believe the police are one way, and stuff. And then you catch some real life dealings with them and stuff, stealing your skateboards, breaking your skateboards, cracking you over the head,
Fingering your asshole, all kinds of things.
Yeah, you're getting a little weird. You kind of change your, you start getting into that whole, you question everything that you kind of been taught, But I've always kind of been against the grain a little bit on things,
Mm-hmm.
Not by more of an instinctual thing than it was. It's like every time I followed like any kind of trend, it's burned me.
Okay.
You know, so I learned at a young age, and which kind of crazy is like, really made me very humble inside was when I finally came across the quote in my late 30s of Mark Twain of saying that if you find yourself in the majority, it's time to stop and reflect.
Right.
And that was always been like my natural instinct. So that was very comforting to hear such a something so concise and eloquent.
I like how you said that about caught up. How'd you say it? Oh, burned. You said you were humbled when you found that you commit to something and you didn't realize it was something different.
Oh yeah.
Because that's kind of how I really got into conspiracies a lot too. Because like the one I always my signature conspiracy, I guess, is 9/11. That's the one I got involved in. That's the one I'm the most important to me, and the one I've done as much studying on. And that's because I think it's just because like you said, it was so humbling, and I was insulted. I was embarrassed because I was one of the guys, from the get-go, the day that it happened, like
fucking get them.
Yeah, right.
Get them,
dude.
I was the same way, man.
It was up until I started talking with this dude on Facebook, not Facebook, MySpace. God, I wish I could remember his name because I want to go back and apologize to him for being indignant about a lot of things.
Totally.
And let him know that I think that he's completely right now. There's some black dude in Texas. Random black dude in Texas who I used to talk to on MySpace. If you know me or whatever, contact me so we can have a conversation and we can get them and catch back up. But he would, I'm still pro-American, but I was very pro-nationalism American, right? At that time, I was like, pick your hacky, American pro-American guy with the fucking flags and all that stuff. Like 9/11, like it hit me hard. Like I was like emotionally attached to that happening because
totally.
I was at a time in my life where I wasn't, I was just kind of hustling, trying to get by and do things, but I started feeling guilt about how little I contributed to society. So like I was like, oh my God, we're getting attacked, and I'm part of the problem. I'm not helping. So I started looking at ways I could enlist and get into the military and the whole thing, and I got as far as signing up. I was signing up through the Alaska National Guard. I was going to go in infantry. Like I'm ready to go kill. Like
right.
The terminology I was using at the time, I was going to go kill some towelheads. That's what I would say that.
Wow.
And this is how 9/11 had the effect on me.
Yeah, totally.
Lucky for me, though, I was medically DQ'd. I couldn't get in because I had too many surgeries. I had both an appendicitis surgery and a gallbladder surgery. And for some reason, they can't waiver 2 different surgeries like that. So I couldn't get in. Mm-hmm. And it was after that, after not getting in, that I started kind of hanging out and volunteering for people who were coming back from the military. Mm-hmm. Like soldiers who were, medically discharged or things like that. I was doing some volunteering, and I started talking with them about some things, and they started enlightening me a little bit, and they had questions about why they were serving and the things that, they were being told one thing and going over there and it's a totally different deal. And then that's what got me into looking into that, and then getting into still trying to defend 9/11, like, as the idea of it. I would like getting to arguments with conspiracy theorists at that time, trying to disprove them. And it was from that act where I got to where I was like, holy shit, these guys are probably right and I'm probably dumb. But it had that effect on me.
That's something that like a lot of people, have to come to grips with, like when it comes to anything really, but you got to hear the other side. And I was always willing to listen to the other side, when it came to that, but I was like you, man. I was like, fucking kill the women and children, hate breeds hate,
Right.
like, I bought the whole thing, the whole shock, the trauma, the trauma-based mind control, basically, if you will,
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
That makes you the most vulnerable when it's a deep-rooted emotional, event, whatever it is, you're the most susceptible to influence.
What ends up happening, like, it goes against my core beliefs, how I always operated. I've always been an anti-war guy. I've always been like, legalize weed, be your own person and stuff like that, and I started getting when I was like, I started getting into the whole violent side of thing. I'm like, this ain't right. This ain't me. And I started getting away from that this blind patriotism. You know what I mean? Like I started again. I was like, this is I gotta start looking at things. I'm going along now. You know what I mean? I'm not thinking. I'm not, and so I kind of just turned my mind off of it. I had other things going, just speaking about 9/11, but like what really got me into conspiracies was I came into a little bit of money, and this is after 9/11 and a couple of jobs and stuff like that. But I came in a little bit of money, and I wanted to learn how to like make money with my money. I want to learn how to invest and stuff.
Right.
So I took these courses, and there was actually a Rich Dad Poor Dad course.
Okay.
And
That's the name of the course?
it was the guy Robert Kiyosaki. He wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Okay, yeah. Now I get to reference.
Well, he had these little seminars. They would be like a 3-day seminar. You learn about the basics of stocks and options and stuff like that. And I was like, fuck, I've got this money. I'm gonna fucking invest. Da, da, da. So I took this course and the guy's giving this lessons talking about stocks, and they do a history of the banking. They do a history and it's in his books too. But they do the history of like the money and the currency and the issuance, and they go all the way back to like the Rothschild banking, and they're just explaining the history,
Right.
and you're like, whoa, I'm like, this is deeper than anything that you've ever heard in school. This is deeper than
They weren't they weren't presenting it as a conspiracy type thing. They
Not
were
at
just
all.
presenting it
Nope.
as factual history.
No, they're like, this is the rules of this is how, these are the money changers. These are the people that, these are the people who set the stuff. This is the history. This is how they play, and this is how you need to play. And they go through all this history, and they lead up.
I wonder if did the teacher, did they realize what they were saying, and did they come to the same kind of conclusions I think you're getting ready to have?
Well, here's the thing: is I'm sitting there, and I'm watching. They get up to the modern time, and they get to the Federal Reserve and all that stuff like that, and they explain how the Federal Reserve. And this is where I had learned this before, the whole Ron Paul thing,
Right.
and I was like a creature from Jekyll Island guy after that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I got that book immediately after that deal.
Hip the people who's listening who don't understand the reference to Jekyll Island. What happened on Jekyll Island? This was in 1930?
1910,
1910?
It's like 1910 or 11. They hatched the plan, and then it was executed.
It was a plan for the creation of the Federal Reserve, which was
to completely privatize the issuance of currency and credit in the United States.
right.
So the bank, what we think is like, the government prints money. It's a private corporation, private entity tied into the world banking system, which basically goes back to, and it's funny as you listen to any Hunter S. Thompson, it goes back to the Vatican. It goes back to the British Crown,
Right.
and you look at conspiratorially, you look at Washington, D.C., you look at the Vatican, and you look at London. They are all city-states. They are separate from their host country. They're their own country within the country. They're their own land. They're their own sovereign nation. People don't know that. It's just the District of Columbia. It's like its own. It's like an office. It's this whole Illuminati fucking obelisk, and we're going, but
all centered around Bank of International Settlements as being like the main center headquarters. And not only that, it's like you said, I think you mentioned that was like the Vatican, where it's like this independent.
Yeah, it's a city state. It's its own deal.
It's in Sweden, but it's not like part of Sweden. It's like its own laws, its own deal.
It's above the law. Has a completely different law system of law than its host country, wherever it may be.
Yeah.
But so in this class, 1910, an island off of Georgia, the coast of Georgia.
And I wanted people to understand that this is like done.
This was a very secret thing. They couldn't do this. This is like since the inception of the United States. People don't understand. It's always been about tax and issuance of money and stuff like that. And the thing is like I wouldn't be opposed to a Federal Reserve if it was actually owned by our country. So like the money and our taxes would actually go back into our country. There's a hole in the boat.
There's people profiting off of this. So that's the thing.
100%.
There shouldn't be any government entity or anything that, especially something that influences our economy, where somebody's profiting. It should be done as a
what is it? Usury is slavery. You know what I mean? Like that's And so, but this was so secretive. Like these guys had to migrate to this island under the cloak. No one was to use a first name, or they all had like it was kind of like Reservoir Dogs. Everybody, Mr. Pink did it. Like everybody was, in case anybody knew them, and they're the top leaders of business and government and industry. And there was, there was people that were very much opposed to this. And one of the things is they didn't call like recess. They didn't call like an end to Congress or whatnot. Mm-mm. It was like on Christmas Eve, or Christmas Day, something ridiculous. So everybody was gone in a way. There's only like the whatever the bare minimum. Those are in the cahoots to vote unanimously.
And that's nothing new too. Like I always love to see right around Christmas time when everybody's
greasy
going back.
Shit gets passed.
A lot of shady shit has been passed there around Christmas Eve.
Holiday weekends and stuff, they don't call, and then it's a game, and everybody knows how they fucking play it, dude.
And the reason it is because a lot of the people who would be voting have gone back to their states that they represent, and they can have a vote if not everybody's there. It's just whoever's there is the ones that vote. Yeah. So if it ends up being just 5 people in there,
it's a shady
vote's a vote.
It's a shady shyster fucking deal,
Yeah.
And here's one of the things. So like in this class, they're like explaining that, this stuff, and then they go into how the money. That since the Federal Reserve, we're a completely boom bust, economy. Everything is, the printing of money is like gone completely out of control. And so in this class, they teach you how to get around all this stuff. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I raise my hand and I go, hey, everybody in Wall Street and in government knows this is how this is done, right? And he goes, yeah. And I go, so everybody knows this is a fraud system. And he goes, exactly. And I go, but no one's willing to say anything. And he goes like, people do. And he goes, but at the same time, the bottom line is to make money, and they're making money on it. And I was like, well, holy fuck. That really changes things. You know what I mean? Like, so, I had a guy on my tours. I do tours to Hoover Dam, and we're out there and we're walking around. And he goes, we're talking about government contracts and stuff, with business and stuff. And he goes, everything's given to the lowest bidder. And that changed my perception on things. Like, I'm stepping on an elevator, I'm like, fuck, lowest bidder. You know what I mean? I'm getting in a car, I'm like, lowest bidder. But not to say this, not, whatever, but it was one of those things. It changed my perspective in seeing things in life,
Right.
So I'm like, so this guy knows that these financial crimes and all stuff, and he's like, yeah, and these are just the games in it, and you gotta. And so I got out of there, and I just started really, questioning everything and stuff, and then that led me into going, full blown into 9/11.
Okay.
Because in that class.
What year were you in this class? So this was after 9/11, I assume?
This is after 9/11. I would say this is probably about 2000, maybe 6, 2005, maybe.
That's why I say my I always, make it sound crazy, but it's my awakening to 9/11 was like between 90s, was 2007, 2008. Was right around when I started to like, wait a minute. This doesn't make any sense.
I had a couple friends that were like, "No, dude, you gotta," he's like, my one buddy was like, "Why are all the Jewish people not in the building at 9?" And he was actually referring to Silverstein and
right.
and how a lot of people actually weren't in 9, but that's a different deal. But the guy talked about the put options,
right?
And how till
this
day,
the class they were talking about this
in the class,
okay,
in the thing, the guy
this
was
is this is one of the crazy. When I would tell people, it's like, okay, look, yeah, a lot of these things can be considered coincidences, but it's the sheer number of fucking wild coincidences surrounding it. Not even looking at the science or the factual stuff. There's a laundry list of just outstanding coincidences attached to 9/11 that just mathematically would be impossible to all happen within the same time window.
In the book Illuminatus trilogy, in the first one I can't remember, but there's a guy, he's a great character. His name's Hagbard Chalene.
Okay.
And he says coincidence is a term made up by science, or by science for stuff they can't explain,
right?
And it's used by people in the same way, stuff they don't even want to entertain. They don't even want it. It's coincidence. people shut off real fast, you know. So coincidence theory is like the thing that I've always combated.
Coincidence theory. I don't think I've never studied it from that way or thought about it that way.
Oh yeah, well, you know, everybody's like, you're a conspiracy theorist. I'm like, well, you're a coincidence theorist then. You know what I mean? Like everything's just a fucking
slick.
coincidence to you, huh? Just
Okay.
you know, and you're just skipping along in life, I guess, right?
Well,
but-
I always tell people, my thing is like, just consider the amount of wealth and the amount of power we're talking about, and you want me to think that those people are going to leave things up to chance and coincidence?
Oh yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I mean, they were talking trillions of dollars, or even more so, all the debt, which is way more valuable than the actual dollars, is the control of the debt and the control of the power and the influence.
in the resources.
Do you think they're just going to let things happen? They're not going to try to put their finger here and there and push and move things? That's business.
Yeah,
That is
no,
what it is.
and that's the thing. Is like, that's the thing. Like that old money, these people that have been in control. You know, these people. There's the people that aspire. They're the lapdogs. You know, they're the ones. They're our politicians. You know, there are, you know, they're the celebrities and you know that kind of stuff. Those are the axemen. But the people that are really in control and the people that really got it, as far as like, you know, on lock or how to play this game. It is literally, and I hate to say this, but it's true because it's just a different vibration. But it is literally like in their DNA to like operate and not and to be have different core values. You know, there's the appearance that they're like everybody else, and that's
Right.
dehumanizing. But when you're making these decisions, you're doing these things, and you know it's at the cost of like, you know, lives, you know, but it's for the greater good. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're doing these
Well,
things.
that's what I say. It doesn't even have to be, you know, and you can speculate, is this a crazy religious thing, or is this just evil people, or are these just greedy people? But if you're in that, we're talking about the 1% of the 1%, you know, the ultra rich, you know, the people who go to the Bilderberg meetings, you know,
Yeah, even above that, like we're talking like black nobility shit. Dude.
Yeah.
We're talking, you know what I mean? Like
it doesn't even have to be like this,
the resource owners.
And
you know?
if they've grown up with these thoughts of superiority or control, and they think they're doing the right thing, they could be doing things, you know, and influencing things because
Well,
they
they-
believe it's the right thing to do.
Oh, of
you know,
course,
it could
yeah,
be
and
that simple.
And it is the right thing to do for them.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing is like they got, when I say they got it, is like they get it. Like, you know, ultimately it's about, you know, you and yours take care, you know, just how they do it and on what level of compassion, rah.
Right.
But it's true, dude. We like you know, you vibrate at like a frequency and stuff like that. And these people, they have that frequency like figured out, that money making, that decision making, that, you know, to where, you know, regular people will, they will have like turmoil over. They'll
Right.
very, you know, they'll.
They can be callous. They can make decisions that will affect the future, decades in the future, thousands and
Yeah.
millions of people.
Well, and see, that's another thing too, just about like the elite, you know, those like really in charge, you know, the Carnegies of the world, if you will, like way back. These people had Aldous Huxley and all that. These people in these organizations that they've been in, these secret society, they have plans that are 150 years old, 75 years, you know, in 50 years are like young baby plans that's going to launch. Why are they setting these plans
Right.
that when they know they're not going to be around, and maybe even their progeny might, they're on a different vibration, they're on a different wavelength, you know.
Right.
And a lot of these people, it's funny, is like when you get into like religion, you start talking about religion, people, oh, I'm like, I'm not a religious guy, dude. I'm not a Bible thumper. I couldn't quote one fucking deal from the Bible other than like, you know, be good.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, like whatever. The people who run the world do.
Mhm.
They operate on this, whether it's on the surface for, you know, as a cover so they can, you know, I guess operate under impunity, or if they're serving a different, you know, if it's a hidden, you know, it's a guise for their Satanism or whatever.
Right.
Either side.
And that will freak people out too if you start saying, well, you talk about Illuminati specifically or anything like that. And this I can converse on. Like, I don't know that, and I don't, you know, it's back to 9/11. I don't try to focus on the who did it part. I try to focus just on getting people to like, look, the science stuff doesn't make sense. Let's just focus on that.
No,
You proved
totally.
that's right. Then we'll move on and we'll try to figure out who did it after you guys realize it didn't happen the way it was told. But what I try to tell people is it's if you can believe that people will be Catholic or people will be Mormon and believe those religions or any religion, Muslim, whatever religion, if you think people will subscribe to those, follow the tenets of that religion, and do what they have to do to promote that religion, why can't you also believe that world domination or you're an elite family and your bloodline is the bloodline that needs to survive regardless of whatever? Why can't you believe that people will also believe that?
Oh yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Why, if you're going to believe that, yes, there are actually people who pray to gods. Why don't you ever think that the people? It's just another form of religion, is all it is.
Oh yeah, well,
It's not that big of a concept for me to believe that people would do that.
Well, there's a thought process there where people you have two ideas fighting in your head, and you're just going to go path of least resistance. But
Right.
The whole cognitive dissonance. But was it what were you saying about people holding the one and disregarding the other? Fuck, I forgot what I was going to say exactly.
Oh, okay.
The analogy I was going to make, but it's here's what it is. Every time people look at stuff, I do it myself. All right, it's like kind of your gut response. It's like a defense mechanism, in a sense. But you automatically think, and people think, oh, they would never do that. And the reason why you'd say they would never do that because you would never do that.
Right.
They would do that, and they do that. That's one of the things.
You filter everything through your own worldview and your own, your own morals, your own ethics.
Because you find it's like all the people that look at that look at any politician. I'm just going to pick out Hillary Clinton because there's the perception that she's this nice old lady, grandmother and she's all about the women, and then there's the reality of the fact she's a fucking evil, nasty, person.
Right.
But people are gonna see what they see, but the people that they're only looking at the things that they vibrate with.
Right.
They're only looking at the stuff that they That's why people just automatically just want to defend.
Here's another way.
People they don't know.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Here's another way I think I can simplify what you mean by vibration. When we talk about the media and we talk about the right and the left and politics, there's a left leaning media and there's a right leaning media.
Mm-hmm.
What it is, those are channeling what I'm thinking you're suggesting is vibrations. It's things that the left core will respond to.
Yeah.
Things that they're into. That's what those news sources put out there, and that's why they attach themselves to those news sources, because they're now entwined with them. There's a feeling of that's my clan, that's my group I need to be with.
Totally.
And same with the right. The right say things in such a ways that create those mental vibrations and those feelings of oh yeah, they're saying what I want to hear. They may not subconsciously not really realize that, but that's why they're drawn to those two things. Is because again, that's a form of energy, that thought process and those angles.
Yeah, no, it's and that's that's the thing is it's picked up in those that are in control. That when I say in control, just say for media, and this has been studied. This has been part of the making.
Yes. Yeah.
It's been part of the design of TVs.
Millions of dollars of U.S. tax dollars have been invested in the understanding of the mind and how the mind works and what the mind responds to, and why when I always use this example, whenever somebody says da 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 da, the first thing pops in your head is I'm loving it. You've been fucking programmed.
No, yeah, totally.
To think that. That's in these evil scientists in advertising have learned how to market things based on how your brain reacts to shit. So why the fuck wouldn't you, if you're trying to control a society, whether it be a country-sized society, a state-sized society, or a whole planet, why wouldn't you use that information that you know of how to influence people?
No, totally. It goes deep, man. It goes all the way to branding us since we were children. And but real quick, I did want to mention though about the put options in the class.
Oh yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's my ADD, dude. I
That's
go
me
all
too.
over the place. But that was the thing is when they talked about the put options, and that's what sent me on looking at 9/11, because the guy was like, "Hey, look," he goes, "any investor wouldn't put that amount of money, and I can't remember the amount of money.
It was millions.
Yeah,
it was
but he goes,
substantial.
they
with
wouldn't
multiple
put-
airlines.
They wouldn't put that amount of money on a put option without knowing that they would get money back. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
they would get
And,
it.
and just for clarity, because I don't think we ever explained what we're talking about here. We're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about it was the day before.
No, this was done about a month out.
Was it a month
Yeah,
out?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
it was
Options are usually like a few month thing.
okay. So it was a few months out then, but it was putting put options to
On
bet
those-
against the airlines.
Yeah, it was there for so a put option. There's two options, or there's two kind of options. There's a put and a call.
Right.
A put means you're like the analogy, you're putting the phone down, so you're expecting the stock to go down. A call option, you're calling, you're picking up the
Oh,
phone.
I didn't know
so
that's what it
goes
was.
up.
Okay.
So
It's in my
call
phone.
goes up, put goes down, and they're saying that they bet that the price was going to drop a
Substantially.
crazy amount to, it's going to drop
United and there was like 3 different airlines, whatever.
Yeah, I forget the exact airlines, but they were all picked to drop to a certain amount, and you got to kind of call the amount just because it dropped some. I don't know exactly like the specific details. You know what I mean? But it was your 1 in a billion upon billion shot that there's no signs that this would happen.
Right.
There's no signs that in this the stock information, in the data, the daily flow of money and all that stuff. There's no reason why anybody would bet on that other than if they knew some shit was going down.
It would be almost like playing roulette and then like betting that the ball was going to stop between 2 different numbers, like on the rail.
Right?
between two
Yeah,
different
exactly.
numbers.
Right. No,
It was that kind of rare thing because it wasn't just a little bit of money and it wasn't just one particular airline. It was a group of airlines that
yeah,
were.
it was, and the other thing is like there's some shady shit about put options also with the Vegas shooting too, in a Soros portfolio, but people I don't know, that's kind of been argued either way, but
Right.
anyways, so the fact that these people hit, all right, and they hit on these exact da 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 da, and then there was also they talked about the guy that was making the last minute trades in the towers or whatnot, and he made a whole bunch of money or whatever. They made there's like all these last minute trades, and but none of that money has been collected. It's still there.
Well, they explained it away. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was. Just basically,
But-
it was just a coincidence. Well, yeah, another coincidence thing was
But
basically what it was.
no one can collect that money. You know what I mean? Whoever does get that money, whoever does pull that out, they're gonna be like, you're under investigation. So they're kind of like they found it really strange that people that was actually done like for money that couldn't be recovered. But then that just sent me off the rails because I had my
Well, I
friends
think
telling me
it took a substantial money out. So I mean, if you take money out of there, it's not in use. So it affects the overall economy just by the shifting of it. The shifting of the money, even though it's because that money is just now in place somewhere.
Yeah,
So
it's just
like-
sitting in a brokerage account or whatever, and
Yeah.
or it's still on the market or whatever, like it's crazy. And there's been no like subpoenas, I mean, dude, when they freeze assets for criminals or tax, to do all stuff like that, they get immediate. They'll go right into that shit.
Right.
Why can't they?
Like, why wouldn't you? If you're going to freeze somebody's assets, you want to know what they're doing.
Yeah,
So
why
it's
wouldn't-
it's
why
step
is
of
there's
an
no-
investigation.
There's been no investigation. This has been omitted from the 9/11 reports, of the many anomalies, like we're saying, the whole coincidence deal. But then you get into the whole structural thing, and then you get into, Tower 7, and a lot of people still to this day don't know what Building 7, Tower 7,
Yeah.
And then, if you've listened to any of the tinfoil hats, Sam Tripoli, I mean, he blew it open, to on more of a scale for the public to get access to, but Tower 6,
Mhm.
and I always thought Tower 7 was like, the one that had the information with, all the IRS and where the money was going and the FCC and all that stuff like that, like.
Yeah, these were the offices where the investigations were happening the day before. Like literally, this happened literally the day before 9/11. what's his name, Secretary of State
Rumsfeld
announced, that how much do you remember
it was like $10 or $9 trillion.
Yeah, it was like was it up to 10? It was
was
a
a-
trillion amount. It's
Yeah,
enough.
It was
like
a
3 to 10 trillion.
Yeah, it was a multi-trillion-dollar amount missing. They had no accounting, and tomorrow we start our investigation.
Right.
Boom, 9/11 happens. The place at the Pentagon that had the information had all that. That was the only place
all the
that was
offices that were doing the investigations were in these
that was the only
towers and
place
in
that was-
Pentagon.
Yep, those were the only ones that were attacked. But
And just so people know about, because that's one's hardly ever talked about, is it didn't collapse. It collapsed from the inside in, and then still like the wall still stood. But you can find pictures on Google Images of Tower 6.
It falls at free fall speed, or damn near. They have it clocked. And it's funny as I was watching an old clip of some guy on the Rogan podcast, and he was like, "No, it doesn't fall straight down." He was like, and Joe, when Joe was doing conspiracies,
Right.
he was
Back when, the good old Joe.
yeah, we miss you.
Come back.
Yeah, please. Yeah, quit shilling. No, I'm just kidding. Trouble for that one now. But I kid. But this guy on his thing was like totally. He's like, it doesn't. You can see it collapse. I was like, dude, well, it's gonna meet up with itself, but the thing just falls straight down.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's the only time that's ever. I mean, the whole thing. It's the only time all of that has ever happened, and the whole jet fuel and office fires that's been debunked. More and more people, even now to this day, are coming out about it. They're less scared. They probably ran through all that. They're not getting any more funding from things, so they're like, fuck it. Might as well come out, because that's a lot of the people who are looking at their livelihoods.
Right.
And that's kind of the thing that's like always bothered me in my life, is how people like, Patrice O'Neill said it good one time when he was actually on Alex Jones. He was like talking about the TSA and how we're, all this stuff, how people are getting rid of our rights, and they're like, oh, I'm just doing my job. Well, your fucking job sucks, dude. It's eroding our fucking freedoms. You know what I mean? Like, but people will do because they're just like, oh, I'm just doing my job. So
Well, that's part of the when I refer to,
because no one wants their standard of living to get worse.
Right. That's part of the chain. When I talk about U.S. taxpayers being slaves, this is in the context that I mean. It's financially we're in servitude at this point now. Either be it by
100%.
House payment, car payment, student loans. These are chains. These are financial chains that are wrapped around you. So you're terrified of the idea of financial collapse.
People commit suicide over.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
You know?
And that's how you're under control. Well, I don't want to rock the boat. I can't point out what's going on at my company that I work for. I can't, that they're doing this criminal shit, because then I'll lose my job, and then I've got this, and my 401k will collapse because most of my stock I own is my company's stock. So shit like that. That's how you trap people in, and that's why you don't. Well, if something like that happens, there'd be people saying stuff left and right. No, they wouldn't. They're scared.
Yeah, no, they're definitely scared.
They might not admit it, but they're scared.
Well, yeah, because there's a lot riding, like, it's kind of funny too. Is like, people are like, oh, now you got kids, dude, you're gonna get light up on your conspiracy stuff. I'm like, well, first of all, it's not conspiracy stuff to me. It's what's really fucking happening.
Right, it's
And
reality stuff.
And two, no, you know what I mean? Like, what do you mean lighten up? Like, I'm thinking about my kid's future. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna go out there. I definitely don't want to get suicided. I'm not like going out. I'm not one of these guys that I'm out there beating the drum. But I just like pointing this stuff out. And I like getting down and talking about it and stuff. But
that's where the point where I'm at. You still have some fight in you. I've lost the fight, but I'm not gonna stop saying that that's bullshit. It's like, I'm not gonna.
Well, here's the thing: is I was out there like Johnny Appleseed, and I was out there trying to convince people, and you're not going to,
right?
That's
what I was doing. That's why
now I'm just now my whole vibration. I'm out there. I'm gonna find. I'm finding those that are looking for me.
Right.
I'm looking for those that are looking for me, and if you're on board, and
that's a good way to put it.
That's just how it is. Like, again, I like to refer to Sam a lot, because he's again, just helped
Sam Tripoli.
Yeah, Sam Tripoli. He helped, with my evolution, if you will, as far as comedy and stuff. I still try to play it safe, but there's just things that, like, you're like, you just got to say fuck it, dude, and like do your own thing. Like not you can't give a shit what anybody else is thinking or doing, and you know that served me well, and don't like you know one of the things you just don't try to convince people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they don't want to learn. If they want to learn, they'll ask.
Right.
You know what I mean? And which is crazy because since I've done that, I get more people that are like they come up to me, and you know, or they shoot me. You know, people that listen on the my podcast. You know, they'll shoot me you know messages, and they'll be like, hey, can you give me some information on this? Or I wanted to know more about, you know, chemtrails, or, you know, do you know anything about this? Like, you know, and I'm like, fuck, I'm not even like that, you know, deep of a researcher.
Right.
You know what I mean? But, yeah, you know, but I've always, or, you know, just always willing to have the conversation, I guess. It's,
right.
You know.
That's why it's like, I was very proactive with it, with, you know, the conspiracy, like, again, mostly 9/11, just because the way I look at it, there's so many different things out there. I might as well just focus on one that had the most impact on my life. And that's why I chose it, because it literally has, you know, shaped and manipulated my life, the decisions I've made, and then just that I'm growing up in this post 9/11 world, you know, and living in it now. But also,
see,
it's like
we're from the old world too.
Yeah.
You know, we're from how
Pre-internet.
it was before. Yeah, before the internet, before like you know the effects of 9/11 to now, and the technology and stuff. Like
we've seen that history and that evolution, and just in the society, and that was a huge change.
Yeah, we're
the internet and 9/11.
We're the link
biggest.
from the analog to the real digital world. You know
exactly. So yeah, I try not to be just out there with it, but I'm not gonna go about life and like pretend with people when they start saying something. Oh yeah, 9/11 sure was a tragedy, and they start, you know, all those people died because of those terrorists. Like, no, it's not just because of those terrorists.
Well,
it's
so,
this, and this. I'm not going to play this game for you and let you live in this fantasy. I'm not going to do it.
Well, one of the things is like, you know, that's like kind of the whole thing behind my podcast, and it's kind of like my thing when it comes to conspiracies and stuff is like with these traumatic experiences and these false flag events and all this stuff like that. There's the mind control aspect, which is used in all of media. You know, it's used in social media. It's used on all forms of entertainment. You know, any mainstream entertainment, the news and everything. And there's like a hypnosis over everybody. And I was, you know, I was under that. You know what I mean? Like you were saying, I was like in the beginning, I was like, yeah, dude, we got to go get him. But then, you know, you start thinking about like, dude, I'm not a war guy. You know, then you start learning about like, you're like, whoa, shit, like. Why are we going over into these places that had nothing to do with 9/11? Oh, they supposedly trained terrorists. Oh, wait, we're funding these terrorists?
Right.
We were just funding these guys when they were fighting Russia. You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? What, Osama bin Laden? What, he worked, Tim Osman? That was his name when he was a CIA asset? Like, what? wait, no, wait. He died in 2001 from Marfan's disease? Like, what? What are we going on now? It's 1984. We're going after Goldstein or whatever the fucking, you know, the war in Eurasia or whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's this boogeyman that doesn't fucking exist. You start learning about all this shit, dude. You're like, what the fuck is going on? But all this stuff is sold to us, you know, and we just your emotions trigger. You don't even fucking think, you know. There's like I said, there's like this blanket hypnosis, and one of the things like for me. Is like snapping out of it, you know. And people are like when they say wake up, you know what I mean, literally you have to come to that realization that everything's not benevolent,
right?
You know what I mean? Like everything is not like la-di-da, you know what I mean? It's literally the Wizard of Oz. There's somebody behind the curtain, you know. There's something going on, you know it. It's always there in the back of your brain. It's like the Matrix.
Even at the lightest level, if you just you don't even have to think about from a conspiracy level. Social engineering is a thing. I mean, there's the people of power and position in the world. They have a plan for the country and for the planet, and they're going to do anything. They're going to use these influences where they can to make sure that the majority doesn't back away from their plan. You know, we need these people to generate GDP. We need tax revenue. We need all this stuff to happen. We can't have people just raising their heads out of the sand and asking questions. So we need to make sure that
There's a constant threat always.
There's always a constant threat, and there's always
if it's not an attack on your emotions, your survival, for like procreation, like sex and stuff. It's an attack on the planet. That's that the climate's, the fucking sky's falling. It's always something to keep you off of seeing what's really going on.
Right.
It's like fucking they live.
Right.
Put on the sunglasses, y'all.
Exactly. And I think that's the simplest thing that people need to start getting. It's like, why would, I think I mentioned that before. It's like, why would they, if they have the ability to help make sure their plans and their ideas move in the direction they want them to, why wouldn't they use those tools? Right. I mean, we do it in other countries. Why wouldn't they do it on ourselves too? We influence other countries. That's what the CIA is. It's about changing
it's an
minds
intelligent agency, and it's actually intelligence agency for the fucking Federal Reserve, and big business and shit like that. Like
Right.
in the IRS has nothing to do. I mean, but it's more level than that with the CIA, because they're into fucking overthrowing governments and displacing dictators, and you know what I mean, and toppling economies and stuff, covertly.
Right.
But a great book for people to see that side of things is Confessions of an Economic Hitman.
Yeah,
That's a great
I
one.
would say that one and The Devil's Chessboard are two of the go-to reading for like how the world actually works, and where these what these intelligence agencies do, and how that plays, and how they're in lockstep and working hand in hand with the banking industry and all that.
That's what's like. It's funny is like when people. It's really funny to watch like hip hop guys and all stuff that like they're all bashing Trump and stuff. Now all of a sudden they're like pro government. Like Snoop's like pro government and shit. It's like, dude, yeah, I'm starting to believe those sellout stories are like he was like an informant. You know what I mean? Like I'm starting to believe that about like Snoop now. But regardless of that, but Snoop aside, but you see all these people that are they're pro government. But it's funny how when these agencies are used, and they're used to sell these wars. They're used to sell the war on drugs, the war on crime. But they're the people, they want to build a border wall, but it's the CIA that's bringing in the fucking drugs. You know what I mean? Like really, like fucking. I understand a border wall in a sense. I understand border control. You know what I mean? Like, I'm definitely, if you want to migrate to this country, you got to go through the front door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I know too many good people that are still waiting for citizenship, but these people are coming over, getting benefits, and these people got to go through this process. They've been living here their whole life.
Right.
It's fucked up. But anyways, that issue aside, the fucking the CIA, and the FBI, everybody's like, oh, Trump says they're whatever they're saying is bullshit. He's gonna argue with these guys in their briefings and all stuff like that, and then everybody's like, "Oh, he's better. He knows better than them." And da da da. Well, I'm like, dude, they just got us into all this trouble and bullshit. First, you're gonna now all of a sudden believe them because you're against Trump. But I was like, the guy is a multi-billionaire, asset-wise, whatever. We don't want to get into that, but those guys have the best intelligent networks that bypass all law.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's greasy shit. Dude knows some shit. It was like, just perfect example when they asked him like, oh, if Oprah's going to run. You know what he said? He didn't say anything. He goes, oh, I know Oprah very well. He goes, I hope she does. It'll be good. Right? That's a shot across the bow, doggy. You know what I mean? Like, he knows. Like, the guy's like, dude, he's got an amazing intelligence network. That's how all these people are. Like, that greasy dude, Jeffrey Epstein. Right, with the whole Lolita Express and the child and all stuff. Well, dude, look at all the dirt that this guy was having on all these politicians, all these people having being massaged by these 14-year-old girls, and who knows, a lot of them are, being accused of full-blown rape and all sorts of crazy shit on that. But that's getting dirt. That's like blackmail. That's like, you know what I mean? But if they're willing to do shit like that, have these parties and set people up and do stuff, you don't think they got fucking people eyes and ears everywhere? You know what I mean? You don't think people in big business and Wall Street are fucking... Yeah, it's like that movie or that show Billions on Showtime. They had that... The dude has the lead guy has that goon that goes and does all that greasy. That's real life, dude. People have these connections. You got money. You're
intelligence
a
is the best resource. I mean, if you don't have intelligence, it doesn't matter how much money you have or how superior your product is. You got to know how to manipulate the market that you're in, because I mean, it's not just, bring a better mousetrap to market and you become a successful businessman. No, it's like there's people working against you because they want their shit to work.
But the mind control of people to automatically have been programmed just to be automatically, fuck Trump. And I don't care either way. I'm not Trumping. I'm not on either way. I do like the fact that he has both sides hating him.
Right.
Yeah, Fox is playing party politics, but as soon as they get a chance to motherfuck him, they do, in a sense. And like I said, I'm not defending him or anything, but the reaction of people. Right now, one of the things we're having going on right now, and this is like a sick thing. There's the highest reports of hate crimes happening right now, and at the same time, the highest number of fake hate crimes.
Right.
Which is, it's coinciding because hate crimes is all just getting lumped into one.
Right.
But the amount of people,
we've had two just super recently ones, like the one with that whole crazy event in Washington with the I forget what their school's called, but everybody calls them the MAGA hat kids.
Oh, the Covington, the kids from the Catholic school.
Yeah, and then the Native gentlemen, and then the guys from the Black Israelites. That whole thing there, that was, and I fell for it. Admittedly, I fell for it immediately.
Dude,
because I saw just those edited down videos that really made it seem like the Native guy or the kids were antagonizing them, and it was.
Well, the very first thing that I saw of that was the meme going, or the post of have you seen a more punchable face?
Right.
And then Wheeler Walker Jr. put up the thing, hey, I have fans in this area. If you see this kid punch this guy. And I was like,
oh, did he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude. He's going to get in trouble, dude. He's going to get in trouble. Dude, that kid's suing. They're suing a lot of people, dude. He's going to get in fucking trouble.
Holy
and
shit.
I hope so, dude, because that's just fucking ridiculous. Even if you don't like, even if the narrative, even if the official narrative, what they're trying to sell was true, the kid did absolutely nothing when you watch. I mean,
you're calling out for vigilante justice at that time.
Yeah, that's not good at all. So I hope there's a good little fine there, a little smack on the ass. You know what I mean? Because you just don't do that, dude. Like you don't call for violence, bro. Especially when you have that big of a fucking platform.
Exactly.
I mean that's just fucking reckless right there.
Right.
And so, anyways, when I saw that, I'm like, I need to get the lowdown. So I start looking up different dudes on there, and lo and behold, like that immediately right then and there's a 12-minute video, then there's a 30-minute video or a 40-minute video, then there's like a 2-hour-long fucking thing. And the very first thing I see, I was like, how come they're not talking about the Black Israelites screaming at calling
homophobic slurs,
calling
obvious
people
ones.
cracker,
racial slurs,
telling the black dude, they're dropping the N-bomb on him, saying that as soon as he gets comfortable, old enough, they're gonna harvest his organ. I mean, they're saying like all this absurd stuff. They're saying stuff in the tone that they're saying it. They're provocateurs. They're trying to get these kids to have a response. I was like, why aren't they mentioning this? And then when they do, they're playing these dudes as victims. I was like, no. So then there's a couple of mutual friends on Facebook that were posting up there, and I go, hey guys, you're not seeing the legit shit, dude. This is a work. You know what I mean? And they're like, I got Native friends. I do too.
Right.
And we got a lot of the same friends. I'm here to tell you, this is a fucking put on.
Right.
You know what I mean? I go, this is, and then the whole thing starts to fucking unraveling. Then that dude, he's like a paid fucking, he's an actor that goes, he's a publicity guy,
Right.
He never even served.
I would say he was. I don't want to say that because I've never spoke to the guy, but I've once I realized who he was, I didn't recognize him at first, but then when I recognized who he was, there was association with some other protests, and maybe he is legitimately, an activist. And
Well, if he is, he's a very delusional one because he's always on.
Oh, he got caught as he's a straight up liar. I mean, he lied about his whole military record and everything else.
He's on camera and he talks about it. And he's a slickster too because he leaves it out. Yeah, he leaves it out when he goes. I said it was the Vietnam times back in the so it's. Even though he wasn't there, he kind of vaguely puts him into the whole thing, because I was called baby killer and I had to beat this guy up. I feel bad for that. You just listen to dude. I'm like, that guy's a fucking liar.
All right.
You know what I mean? Like, people who, fucking talk like that, like, seriously. And at any rate, I would, there's some people that got a little.
But think about that for a second, though. The idea that all these social movements, regardless of what they are, it could be a conservative one or a left leaning one, those audiences, those subgroups, are ripe for fraud for guys like that. Then guys who are hushers, who snake oil salesmen. Well, let me get in there and become this activist, and I've got this already made to order audience for me that's gonna. They're waiting for voices to say the right things that they can follow and help and support. So all you do is become one of these, higher ups in this movement. You get a voice, and then it's like you start fundraising, and you get people to support you.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. That's a
good thing to think about, man. That's crazy.
You get that fucking that bleeding heart,
right?
You get that you have people donating that money. Did you
the donation for the Trump wall? That was fucking. What did he end up getting? Was it how many million worth?
Yeah, dude. Didn't they have to give that money back though?
I don't know what happened with
it. That was funny, but
just the idea that people would do that. Like, you're already paying taxes, motherfucker. Why you want to spend them some more money?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's exactly. But the thing is with that guy, like his whole story is shot to shit in like a 3-minute long video. Like, you have to catch like just that little bit where he's up there and he's drumming, and then if you see any extended, you see the kid telling him, dude, to calm down. I'm like, where is all this stuff? And so but again, the mind control, they go for your emotions. They sold that. Now, dude, they're in fucking trouble. Like, all those media, how they sold it, all that stuff, CNN, MSNBC, Kathy Griffin, all these celebrities, everybody, I want to dox him now. Yeah, I hope you guys get fucking.
It's happening immediately again. Like, we didn't. Well, I did on this one, but most people didn't learn the lesson because now we have the what's his name, Jesse Smollett, from the TV show Empire, and as of this recording right now, what is today? What's the date? As I'm recording this, what are we on? The 17th? Yeah, the 17th of February. Now it's the police are wanting to bring him back in for questioning because they think, or people who don't know what I'm talking about, he's an actor who claimed to have been attacked by Trump supporters, homophobic Trump supporters. He's a gay black gentleman, TV actor, and they guess they put a noose around his neck, beat him up, and poured bleach on him or something.
Yeah,
that was what it was. Well, turns out now that they brought these 2 Nigerian black gentlemen in for questioning who were also extras on the TV show. And they let them go, and now they want to question him. And their sources within the Chicago Police Department are saying that he paid them $3,500 to fake an attack on him for who knows whatever reason.
To what end?
But you remember how it happened when
he's a big anti-Trumper too,
right? So, but you remember right when it first happened. Immediately, oh my God, there was this racial attack on this, and
oh, dude, my sister. She posted, "This is unacceptable," this running with the fake story, and me and her dad, we're both like, it's bullshit, and then we got pounced on. And I was telling people, like, just watch,
right?
And now they're having a discussion on the same. But yeah, so many people, everybody just ran with this one,
right.
Oh, this homophobia, this won't stand. I can't believe, and it was like, even immediately, like, black people are like, oh, this is some bullshit,
right?
White people don't watch that show to know this dude out of like nowhere and then to yell.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
You know what I mean? They're like, they broke it down like.
That's what I was talking with Tom Simmons on the podcast before. Black people are the best at sniffing out bullshit, You know, because they're so used to getting bullshit fed to them from,
Well,
especially from the government and everywhere else.
It just depends on what bullshit because
Yeah.
they still vote Democrat. So
I don't know, man. You see there's a lot of Trump black guys with
now
Trump
there
hats
is.
on now,
There's
man.
a
and
lot
there's
of that whole off the plantation shit, dude.
I know a lot of black people call bullshit on Obama now, and it's a beautiful thing.
It's a great thing. But here's the thing: is like I'm not saying go to the other side. I'm
Right.
just saying get away from the Democrats.
I tell people go away from all the sides.
Yeah,
be
yeah,
your own
exactly.
side. Be humanity's side.
No, exactly. But so yeah, then it broke down like you see a lot of these dudes are like, I'm not even, but they're like, what Trump supporter is gonna be out 2 a.m. hunting for
In Chicago.
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
in Chicago, and then I think it was like where he is at in that neighborhood is like it's like a gay neighborhood or something. I don't know exactly.
It was one of the quotes that said of his attacker said, "This is MAGA country or Trump country." Yeah. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's absolutely not right there.
And then the other thing is like his like manager was like supposedly like, well, oh yeah, I was on the phone, I heard him say that, and this is well into it all falling apart.
Yeah.
So they run all these cameras, nothing, and the thing is, you still have people. More and more of the shit is being found bullshit. People are like, I can't believe we still stand by you, like I can't, this hatred. It's like, who the fuck, like guys.
Another good example of that is go to a Michael Jackson fan page right now. There are some fucking psychotic people that are just still defending the fuck out of this guy and calling those kids who, that recent documentary that came out, and they're calling them all kinds of liars and everything else. I'm like, dude,
dude,
kid fucker, man.
Yeah,
That's what it
well,
was.
I have my take on that with it as far as I think there's other things at play, but that's a different.
Okay.
It's a whole different deal.
Oh, feel free to tell me. I don't know.
Oh, no, I'm just saying I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Okay, fair enough.
Like this guy's like this whole story is being sussed out as bullshit. Then they're like, well, the Chicago PD is like, well, let us get those phone records so we can, nail down, maybe get a voice. We can kind of work with something. We can coordinate times on exactly, because they ran all the surveillance videos. They're like, dude, we went through like hundreds of hours, which is kind of crazy, but I mean, I guess because you can go through, speed it up and see who's there and whatever. But they're like, the reason why they went like so many, just to see if there's anybody in and around, with a 24-hour that fit the description of what was going on,
or any possible witnesses who can confirm the story.
Yeah. And nothing new. So then neither one of them would give the fucking phone records over, and then they did. They gave like something
redacted versions of it.
But they were like, oh no, we want like the bill, you know what I mean, so we can see like what's going on, and like, they wouldn't give it up. But then now they interviewed those two dudes, and then they said, yeah, we're giving $3,500 because they don't want no heat. You know what I mean? Like they probably will catch a little bit, but
Well, what are they going to get charged with?
Well, yeah, they were paid to fucking.
Yeah, they paid to do what they do. They're actors. I want you to act like you're kicking my ass and act like you're racist, which is a hell of a stretch for two Nigerian men to play the role of white racist homophobes. That's a
right.
They should get an Oscar for that.
You know what it was? They were banging. There was like some crazy three-way, and dude probably got all fucking. Probably wasn't paying it, and they're probably. That's how I look at it. They're probably having some three-way or some shit, dude, and it got a little heated. Maybe the dude did all the coke and they got mad and beat him. I don't know, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, who knows? But and then that was like their cover up. He's like, well, fuck, I'll pay you guys just to shut up, don't say anything, Da, 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 da.
It could be. It could be that simple of a thing.
And then he's just embarrassed. But dude, the guy. There's another thing. One of the guys, like one of these dudes, broke down. He was like, dude wore the noose for 40 minutes until like the police arrived or something, and he's
it was on when the police got. I didn't catch that either.
Yeah, some shit like that. Like he wore it for 40 minutes. It's something.
Oh my god.
He wore and then
can't believe I didn't catch that.
And I was like, where's the evidence of bleach? Because if it got on his hair, if it got on his skin, that's gonna be bleach.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if it's gonna ruin your clothes, if you ever fucking spill bleach on you, splash it on you, it makes a spot, it makes a mark. None of that shit, dude. You know what I mean? Like, and then now all of a sudden it was a substance. Yeah, it was fucking jizz, dude.
Right.
You got fucking bukkakied, and you were upset that from such big guys, they had tiny loads, and they beat you up for it. Like, that's the only thing I could think. It's fucking ridiculous. But
We need to make up a scam to make up for your shitty loads. That's what. That'd be hilarious if that's what it was. Well, see, it all started when they blew these little tiny loads in my face. Not that getting tiny loads blown in your face or loads of any size is a bad thing. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
we're just joking about the circumstances as they are.
If you had it in mind, you were supposed to get a big one.
Right, you'd feel disappointed.
And if you are all like a coked up diva, you'd fucking probably get smacked around from a dude being embarrassed about a tiny load.
Well, that's one of the theories, is that he was worried about getting written off the program. And I guess he thought that if that is the case, then maybe he thought this was going to be
like a sympathy thing,
like a sympathy thing or attention. God, this guy's getting so much press now. We got to keep him on the show. You know what I'm saying? So that could be, but there's been no confirmation of him actually being written off. Is that right?
Well, yeah. Now there. Well, so I think there was. I think there's like, it's on like these blog sites, so it's tough to tell. Some people just throw stuff out there.
Are these like Empire TV blog?
No, these are more like people that are into just like what's going on social media, like gossip, kind of deals.
When so Facebook isn't enough,
it's all.
This is my blog.
Well, it's all about like get the inside scoop, kind of,
Right.
And they were saying that it was confirmed. I think
how many of these blogs do you think are blogs put out by CIA entities or agents that create these blogs and create these online personalities
to
help manipulate
a lot, and there's the whole division
in every topic, from car blogs to everything else. I guarantee you there's an influence when we get back to, again, media manipulation and social engineering.
100%.
Why wouldn't they use these things? How many times have you played a video game and maybe one of the voices in there talking in your headset is maybe just an agent trying to put some information out in the world for you to absorb?
Well, exactly like you're saying. Look at how like politics, especially now in today's politics, but has woven itself into everything, and everything is like, you're constantly being spied on and all stuff like that. So yeah, there's divisions of the CIA and the FBI that work, and it's for security, it's for safety, internet, and it always goes.
Which is a huge umbrella that you can put, like, we don't, for the safety of the country, we don't want people to know that.
Well, that's like the Patriot Act.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, for your safety, we're going to take your rights away. We're going to spy on you.
It's for your own good.
And you cause the trauma. It's the, what is it? Problem, reaction, solution,
right.
Hegelian dialectic or whatnot. Use a thesis and antithesis and then synthesis. So you want the end result, but no one would be on board with you. You'd have to fight your own way. So then you have to create the problem to then get the reaction by the people, so you then can
open up their minds. And again, it goes to that point of emotion. It's like if your problem is one that creates a general sense of emotional despair or pain or agony, you lower your defenses a little bit. Your thinking isn't as clear.
That's where you get the trauma in. You get the emotion-based decisions. 9/11 brought in the Patriot Act, and that was like ultimately, like, if you go back to the PNAC, the Project of a New American Century, it says in like what, Article 10, Clause B or some shit. The only way to
Pearl Harbor.
To manufacture, have another Pearl Harbor event, to basically bring us in as the world police. And then
Then jump into that conspiracy about they knew the attack of Pearl Harbor was coming, and that's why they allowed it to happen, just so they could have justification, so they could test their bombs.
They have there's like someone, I can't remember, not too long ago, I got to see this little podcast dealy where the guy had like the transcripts and like the memos that came into Roosevelt, and how he didn't do anything.
Right, just ignored it, just let it happen.
And it went to like 3 people, and they were all like, bringing it to one another, and they're like, shut her down.
We want it to happen.
Shit that you don't hear in the history books, shit that you don't stuff. And if you do, and you do say it, people get emotionally attached. Like, oh, fuck, dude, never do that.
Right.
I'm like,
my grandfather died for this country. You trying to tell me my country's that? Yeah, we are. That's what we're telling you, that people do fucked up shit.
Yeah,
That's exactly what we're saying.
Yeah, it's and especially they especially on like a globalist level,
Right.
That's why I do support nationalism, because on a globalist level, I mean, that's pure slavery. That's communism. You know what I mean? That's pure, like, uh, under the chains, you know.
Right.
It's there. It's
I-
already there in a sense.
I get that, but I think those are what you're suggesting. What history has shown is all because of the influencers of the people who were in charge of the system at the time, and maybe it's impossible to have a head or a group or whatever leading whatever.
Luckily, there's an inner conflict between like those groups of people, you know.
Yeah, I wish there wasn't though. You know, I'm idealistic enough to believe that I wish
Well, if
the
everything
advancement of humanity isn't going to come from us staying divided because of land mass or lines on maps. You know,
Well-
I want us to be a global group of humans, but that being said, I don't want it to be what we see in a lot of socialism devolve into. I don't want to see that.
Well, ideally, we, you know, when you look at things, the human race, I mean, ultimately, we all have like the same goal in mind. Like ultimately, until we're shaped and molded. But as a child, you're really looking to be happy, have fun, and enjoy.
Right.
You know, well, you know, things change, things happen, rah, rah, and all that stuff. You know, just in the violence of nature. Let alone social constructs and stuff. But one of the things that ends up happening for us is, you know, we start separating. We start having different values, different things that are our core beliefs and operating systems and stuff. And the thing about the United States, up until a certain point, is they really harbored that, where there's just a small core values is all you really need to be an American, because you can be from anywhere. You don't have to be any religion. You don't have to be, you don't even have to be patriotic. But one of the things you have to do is kind of like fucking chill out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, come here, do your own thing, but don't fuck with anybody else. And that's a tall order to ask, right? But
Well, you say that now, but we know that's changed now, and it made that.
but it's definitely changed. You know,
because
and-
you can't not be patriotic and not be attacked in some way, and you can't.
Well, you're always going to deal with that. Like, freedom of speech, freedom of expression isn't freedom of criticism or dislike. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's not freedom of consequence. You know what I mean? So
I'm just saying there's a vocal voice that will punish you in a way if you claim to not be patriotic and
Oh, yeah,
same
yeah,
thing
yeah.
with religion too. Like, yeah, you don't have to be a religion, but if you're certain religions, you get treated certain ways and things like that. So there
It's a
are
crabs in a
dynamics
bucket.
within there.
Yeah. But as a whole, what I'm saying is there's a pretty much supposed to be, and as it was, a blank slate where you can come here, you can be anything. You
Right.
know, like
Land of opportunity.
like, yeah, people would say, back in the day, like, what the fuck is your problem? You're an American.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you should do, what's holding you back? I have friends that
Now it's the same question. They just ask it with a different inflection. It's like, oh, what's your problem? You're an American.
Yeah.
You must have a problem.
Yeah,
So now
you
it's
know.
the opposite. It's like, what pills do you take? Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Well, I have a buddy that's from Brazil, and I call him the American dream. He came over here. He didn't know much English, and he learned English to speak, a lot better and get around. And he got a job. He got a beautiful wife. That's how I met him, was through her.
Right.
And and he's just out. Becomes, he's in the process, because even like now, when you get married, you don't just become an American citizen, but he's in, like, I think he just got his paper. I think he's a full, he's a citizen now, but
Nice, congrats.
but just very enthusiastic. I love this country. He's like, America, man, you could do anything. He's like, you could be your own boss. You could like, he's like, you can work. He's like, back home, I'd get shook down. I mean, if I'm doing anything, I have my little corner store. I'm doing this. I'm getting shook down right and left. Like, he's like, here, you can fucking do it, man. He's like, Americans. He's like, I understand why they cry. I understand why they cry and complain. And I was like, well, dude, it's a different. You're coming from a different vibe. Like, these people.
Well, but he doesn't
are used
understand. He's used to a more traditional definition of shook down.
Yeah.
Where they actually come to your shop and kick the door and say, "Give us this money, or we're going to burn it to the ground." Whereas here, it's done legally.
Oh yeah,
It's
definitely.
or at least under the color of law. Maybe
Yeah.
not legally. We're shook down, and every time
Building
you turn,
codes and
every
this,
time
that,
you
and the
buy
other.
something, you're shook down. It's everything.
Yeah.
So it's still happening. They do it nicer.
Yeah,
know what I'm
there was happening like, gun in your face kind of deal,
Yeah.
or like flashing, but you know, that was the thing is like he come over, but he's a very big influence on me, like to stay positive and keep pushing like and doing things because dude, this is a great place, and that's one of the things is like, yeah, man, like the borders. That's why I do kind of support a border control, immigration process.
See, that's a tough one for me too, and I think it's tough for you
Yeah.
too, based on your relationship and who you're with. Is that I understand? Yeah, there needs to be some kind of filtration of who comes in to any land, and yeah, I know there's arguments like, well, it's stolen land anyway. Yeah, but we're here now.
Well,
So what are we gonna do if you're gonna?
What do they say? Is it stolen or is it conquered land?
Conquered
like,
land.
whatever. Like, and here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Show me where that hasn't happened in history. I mean, we're
Right.
just a moment in history.
Well, I'm just saying that doesn't
Yeah.
justify it, and
No,
but
I'm
I
saying
know that
that's
argument's
that's
yeah.
that's kind of like the human nature of things. I mean,
Well,
it's still happening today.
My point is like we just can't go back to that, right? Which is easy for me as a white man in this country to say. Well, we can't go back to fixing all these things that we did a long time ago. And trust me when I'm saying this, I'm not saying this. I've thought about that, and I've considered and put myself in other people's shoes as trying to consider
100%.
myself as being a black person or Native American. I understand it's super easy for me to say that. So before I get any letters, I know it's super easy for me to say that. Okay, but I appreciate everyone as from a point of just being a human. So let's stop
Yeah.
where we're at right here, okay, and try to make it better for everybody across the board. Okay, that's when I say what I'm about to say is I understand that there should be a border wall. I get that, or some kind of maybe not specifically a border wall, but some kind of control for who comes in and out.
Right? Yeah.
That makes perfect sense for me. If
100%,
nothing else, I don't want anybody walking in my house.
Right.
And just walking in at any given time. It's the same theory, and there's people that actually live on those borders. They could be left leaning, right leaning, whatever. There's verified reports of things happening that are causing disruptions in their lives. Okay, so get past that. So but I totally get the idea. But yeah, I don't know. I look at like when we complain about, if you want to complain about something, let's complain about what the U.S.'s influence was on Mexico to cause some of the issues that are or not
Right,
just Mexico, those South American countries where they're coming from.
Why
Our
are they-
influence is making them, driving them up here. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, and let's also talk about why they're like failed governments. They're narco states. Was it like 2 years ago or something? There's like a report that comes out from Mexico.
All graduates from the School of the Americas, and all in the Southern America that we've all installed, and we've created all this shit. No wonder they're coming back.
there's a report that come out and saying basically just to condense it was the politicians and the government officials, like their version of the FBI and all that stuff like that, right? The corruption is so woven in with the cartels, like no, they don't know who they can trust. Like
Right.
they don't know who's on the up and up.
Within their own agencies, they
Yeah.
don't. It's like they're
And-
afraid if they say something to the wrong person, they're
and
gonna get fucking shot in the head.
And even the people that like were compiling this information, stuff like that, they're like this took so much for us to get, and it's very anonymous, very vague, because everybody's fucking terrified. Because dude, there was that lady that was like, she was voted in mayor of Mexico. I'm going out,
Oh yeah, she
making
did like the same day or
fucking kidnapped and tortured for 2 weeks and then killed or some shit
Yeah,
like
man.
that.
They
Like,
don't fuck
what?
around.
No, they don't fuck around at all, dude.
Mm-mm.
I seen those videos, dude, where they fucking little small scalpel fucking seesawing cutting a girl. Oh,
yeah,
man.
it's
And I was like,
it's horrific.
the whole, it's sad. Like I'm watching that, dude. But then, like, I had turned away. I didn't watch like the whole thing. But the whole thing was like, bro, like she had a great fucking set of tits. Like, you know what I mean? I was like that. Like that was
I
like
can
really
just kill the ugly ones.
that was like she had a great rack, and I was like, but they said that she was like a snitch or something. I was like, well, that's fucking, You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's a crazy place,
That's the
man.
mentality over there.
I'll tell you what, you see them people hanging, they see those cartel dudes hanging all them fucking people down there. You know, I don't know why it hasn't been in the news for a long time, but there's well over 54,000 border deaths from between the border wars going on. Woo!
Oh, my snake is taking a shit. I hope it got that on audio.
I was gonna say that was
Oh man,
wow, that is a
Sissy, the studio snake, just took a giant shit.
Dude.
She just ate a guinea pig 2 days ago, so she's about due.
man,
So you just heard a
sounded-
boa constrictor fart. If you heard that,
yeah, I was gonna
that was
say
a gassy, runny shit. that she
sounded
just took.
runny. Sounded runny.
It is runny.
But no, that's why like there's over 54,000. I think it's like in the 70,000s now. I think I'm going by like 2010, 2013 numbers. You know, there's got to be a lot more. Hell, some people dying down there in those border wars on both sides. You know,
Right.
Arizona, Phoenix was the largest, the number one. It was the kidnap capital of the world because you know people tied in with the cartels or whatever. It was easy to kidnap and get ransom money and shit.
And the thing, I think I just said it, but we got to take ownership of that too as American citizens
100%.
because we've created the market. I mean, we're the main market for these drugs. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So the reason
But then
all
it's
these
like-
killings are happening is because we're still spending the money on, or we've made them illegal,
All
and
these
we've created this
busts-
drug war. That's why that's going on. There would be no violence if everything was depreciated because
Well-
they would fight over something else.
Well, like I said, all these drugs are being brought in because, dude, who really ultimately has the resources, except for people that have like big money or in influence? They're the government agencies, right? A lot of times when you see these busts, that's just tax. You know what I mean? That's an operational. That's a fine. That's a fee.
You get to operate. You get to do this drug dealing, but we need to put up an image of we're working on it. We're getting things done. So
largest bust ever, right,
Right.
over here. A fucking freight train just going in, just bringing in a cargo ship, just coming in, just dropping off. An underground fucking tunnel system, just pumping fucking daily.
Yep.
You know, all these things are all firewalled. It's all like black ops money. Bill Cooper, even Alex Jones did a really
So
good.
what do you think happened to what's his fuck who just got sentenced to prison?
Chapo?
Chapo. What do you think? Because he was a top tier. So who did he piss off, and why is he?
They also like when.
Or is this all an act too? Is he?
Well, when the heat is on, you know, when the heat is on with a lot of these guys, when certain things when they're not useful anymore,
Right.
like the major players will cash in on you.
Right.
You know, it's like a fight promoter and his boxer. He's like,
Oh, you've run your course. It's time to take you down.
Like you're like, oh, you're kind of slow. You're slow to beat. Like now I'm gonna put you in those really stiff fights. We're gonna get you a big money fight. You know, and then then after that they usually separate. You know, what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that's probably what it is.
So you have that aspect, and then you also have this aspect of why are they going after him? And this is one of the things. There's after Trump's been in office, there's been a very big spike in busts for child porn, child trafficking.
Right.
And a lot of this stuff has ties back to politicians, has ties back to big business people. If you were somebody that knew somebody and you could, or you knew that these people, these dealings and stuff, and you now are in position to do something, well, one of the biggest traffickers of children and stuff is coming in through the southern border via Mexico.
Right.
And I've always been against the TSA, and I'm against fucking ICE up until this year when I learned about ICE's number when it comes to child trafficking busts and stuff like that. It's amazing. Like they're doing like I think like since Trump's been, it's like 18,000 or better or more. Something like it's amazing. Like these same agencies under Bush and Obama, fucking minuscule. I think Obama had like a couple thousand, but Trump's like racking up like these crazy numbers for this shit. Well, if you were to put a squeeze, right?
There's also strangely been a lot within the borders of the country too. A lot of like, was just one in Wisconsin, was it Wisconsin not too long ago where there was something like 20 something kids were missing, and
Oh,
They
yeah,
accounted
yeah.
for it, something like that.
Dude, over
And it seemed like it just
it's
didn't
like
get
over
the reaction
500
I thought it should get. I'm like, there's 20 fucking kids in one group in one place. This should be a fucking huge thing.
No, totally. Yeah, I'm surprised I don't know more about it, to be honest with you, because I'm usually pretty keen on that stuff. But no, it's rampant to our country. You know, like the kids in CPS, you have like a 7 times more chance of getting raped. I think it's actually 17, but I always like
Jesus Christ.
to scale it down. But I think it's actually 17. You have more. So any kind of like government facilities when kids are in, they have a more chance of being trafficked and stuff like that. But dude, we have like over 500,000 kids that go missing a year. Most of them are from foster care and stuff. It could be runaways, who knows? But a lot of them disappear. Well, a lot of that stuff goes in, and you know, this is going deep, like crazy shit.
Right. I mean, we've got it right here. I mean, you just up in Duluth, where the case of all the Native American girls kind of going missing up in the Duluth area, just here in Minnesota.
Really?
It's a big shipping area, so a lot of these cargo ships are coming in and out, and then people are like reporting all these women missing and things like that. Well,
man.
where they're getting shipped the fuck out. That's what's
Fucking-
happening.
They're fucking ending up in red rooms, bro.
Yeah,
You know, some crazy shit like
or
that.
people's
dude.
personal dungeons or whatever.
Yeah.
They're being bought and traded. You know, it's
No, totally, dude. And people think, oh, that's just the movies. No, motherfucker, those movies that's real shit, dude.
it's real shit.
You know, and that's the thing is like people don't understand, dude. A lot of people that you think are normal people, dude, they have these other lives, man. They're doing some ill shit. And if they're not, they're aiding and abetting ill shit, you know.
Right.
And they're
profiting off of it, yeah.
you know. And
The economy of crime doesn't stop at just street corner drug dealers. It keeps going and going and going to the top. I mean, that's
well, dude, now you get in, you have all this child trafficking and stuff like that. You have all this, like, you know, and then you get into, like, you know, this whole Satanism and sacrifice and you get into this whole blood drinking shit, you know, like, and I'm glad it's come out. It's been, but that's
and people scoff. The people the debunker mentality, they scoff at that. Oh, it's just silly, crazy talk. Well,
Yeah.
fucking so is Christianity.
But this is
so is Catholic.
Hunter S. Thompson talked about this
Yeah.
stuff in the 70s,
Right.
the 60s and 70s, you know, and it makes it to the movies. People, oh, that's just crazy movies. No, this is like real shit. Like, they talk about in history, you know, like how kings and queens drank the blood of babies and because this stuff is really real and goes on. There's people that
I mean, it may not be real. What I think it does to them doesn't really happen, but it's real that they believe that it does.
Yeah,
It's something that they can believe
and you
in.
know, the placebo effect. If you believe it, it's fucking happening.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
Like the mind's a powerful fucking thing, right? So, but now look at this. So, if you wanted to start squeezing people that were like, da 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 da, right? And a guy like El Chapo would be having that kind of grease, that kind of leverage on our politicians because how are you getting shit right? There's a guy. Were these drills? They just had this thing, and it's just all like Q report stuff, you know. So you can go either way with it, but it's being underreported, and all the anomalies around it. But they just run those drills in Long Beach, California, and L.A. These black helicopters and stuff, and they're coming out and they're saying we would never run drills, not like this, not at this time. Da 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 da.
Well, that can't be true because we've had those here in Minneapolis. Like a few years ago, we had it like in 2011, I think, or 2012. We had the exact same thing.
There's always drills, but usually there's a notification. Supposedly, they were actually running an actual like bust. They say this is what was going on.
That was a real thing.
And it was like a real thing that was happening. There's other things that were happening around. Like some dude right at that time was thrown off or jumped off the building that was like right there, and it was like a building.
Oh, you talking about the security guard?
Somebody, I don't know.
Security guard, a TSA security guy jumped from at an airport around the same time. That's not the same.
right around. This was right around the same time that this drill was going on.
Oh, okay.
The dude was like jumped off a building or
okay.
thrown off a building. It said thrown. I don't know.
I gotta look into that more because I wasn't aware of all that stuff.
But then the office, like it was like some big attorney that's being investigated as part of like covering up or working with child trafficking.
Really?
From the Nexium, the Hollywood cult group that was like branding chicks and fucking.
I don't know anything about this.
They the girl, she was busted. She was from Smallville, was the show she was on.
Oh, I do know about that.
And I can't think of her name right now, but she was
Yeah.
busted. And they think it was like, oh, this whole sex cult thing. No, dude, look at the fucking papers. It says child sex trafficking, child trafficking.
See, I knew it as
child
a sex
porn.
cult thing.
Yeah, no.
Holy fuck.
And that's the thing is like, it's like, because where it's going to go, they're going to start getting into names. You're going to get into all this pedo shit, you know. But you got, if Trump is really, and people in this administration are really going after these networks, wouldn't it be a good move to fucking cash in on your Mexican cartel guy?
Right.
You know what I mean? That would have the money and the power and the influence, you know? And at this point, you know, he's like, he came out, he's like, dude, you can build a wall, you can stop me, but he's like, it's the CIA.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, he's coming out, he's saying that stuff. Who knows what he's going to fucking say? You know what I mean? Like, they're going to have him like, old boy.
I can't believe he's alive, is what I'm saying. The
That's-
fact that he's still alive means something. Like, he
That's what
he
I'm
knows
saying.
something, or he's part of a plan farther
Look at
down
all
the
those
line.
other guys, dude. They get him out of there.
Right.
They ambush him. They create this thing. They kettle the guys. So the only response is fight.
Right.
They're not taken alive. And if they are taken alive, they have an immediate execution like Saddam Hussein. You know,
Right.
like his trial was a kangaroo court, and I'm not supporting him, but so they get rid of their own. They
Right.
really, and you know, a lot of people say they really don't get rid of their own, but you know, a lot of those guys, like El Chapo, I don't think he's a part of the bloodline, if you will. I don't think he's a part of that.
Like you
now.
said, a useful idiot. And by idiot, just somebody that they just knew he's just there doing what they need until they don't need him anymore.
Yeah, they're like, well, this guy's ruthless enough, and he's got it enough. He's worked his way up through the ranks. So this is the guy we're fucking with. You know
Right.
what I mean? Until it's time to cash in. But I think honestly, the fact that he's alive and he might be singing and strange things are happening, that I think he's being used like a puffer fish. You know what I mean? He's like the dolphins.
Yeah, I don't think we're done hearing about him. I think something else is going to happen somewhere else down the line. Because remember,
when does he get poisoned in prison? You know what I mean? Like, when does his transportation vehicle, like from one place to another, blows up?
Well, here's my thing. Remember, when during the election was happening,
dies, then you know.
You remember when the election was going and he had the beef with Trump?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what it was about or why. Did Trump say something to him? Do you remember the context of what that? Because like he literally said he was going to kill Trump or have Trump killed or something like that, right?
I think it was just because I think Trump was because he was just ripping on the whole Mexican.
Oh, okay. So that's what started. Well, see, my thing was like I always wanted, like, if they ever want to get rid of Trump, right? If the system, if the powers that be, want a JFK Trump, the best thing they could do is have one of Chapo's men or blame it on Chapo, because there's already been that establishment of beef and conflict between the two, and that would be the perfect thing. It's like, oh yeah, Chapo had the president killed, and it's just similar like how Kennedy in Cuba.
There's supposedly there was supposedly a couple of attempts on Trump.
Somebody was telling me that last night. Who was I talking to last night? I was talking about.
There was like a laser.
He was asking me about what I thought about Q and all that stuff, and
there was a laser that was shot at him a few months back or something that went underreported. Like
a laser?
Yeah, they supposedly shot a laser somewhere near China or something, where he was like flying from. It was like when he was doing his visits to Korea or some shit like that. And they flew, like, they had the decoy plane and they had their plane or whatever, and supposedly like there was a laser that was fired off and da-da-da-da.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know the.
I remember details. China recently. There's been a couple things about lasers in the news about China developing that laser rifle.
Yeah,
that can shoot so many feet or something.
And
like
this
that.
is stuff that's been talked about in the conspiracy world of being in use, sound weapons and weapons to inject voices into people's heads.
Right.
Now that just comes out as like, oh yeah, they have this technology now, and it's like, oh yeah, duh, no. Of course.
Oh, you mean things that would make people feel or seem or appear schizophrenic and do things like, I don't know, like what's his name? Who killed Bobby Kennedy.
Yep, Sirhan,
Sirhan, and all
right?
that.
And then what was the other guy? Hinckley.
Hinckley,
You
yeah.
know? Yeah, oh, yeah. So we have all this history, but yeah, no, no, that's new. They just come out with it. You know,
Right.
get the fuck
Well,
outta
did you
here.
think, speaking about plane things, there was,
Now just think what they're using now that they've come out with that old technology that they're allowing out to the public.
right.
You
The
know what I
things
mean?
that, that's why I tell people, like, if something comes out as a new invention from wherever, it's been in the government's hands for at least the last 5 to 10 years. It's like we get it when they're ready for us to get it.
Before that, like we're talking 30 plus, man. Like
Yeah,
until that technology is 100% like deemed like
they've
longer
maximized
useful.
it for military use, and then the secrecy is no longer relevant.
They're on something else, you know.
Right. Well, there was a thing about and granted I haven't looked into this very deep other than just reading the headline to it, but Netanyahu had a plane like emergency landing just a few days ago too, like literally within the last week. His plane had to land. I forget where they were flying to. I'll look it up after this podcast. I'll know more and I talk about it again. But they had to have to do like an emergency landing. So I thought that just doesn't happen when you're
It's very strange.
yeah, that your plane has a mechanical problem and you're like the president of Israel, United States, or Russia, or whatever.
Trump had a couple of those. He's had like a couple of weird like landings or like technical issues or something. Like, I got to be honest. You know, I work out at Hoover Dam, and if anything happens anywhere in the country or pretty much anywhere in the world, that would be like, you know, well, if the threat is on,
They shut you down, right?
Yeah, they shut it down. And if they don't want anybody to know, or if it's not even in the news, there's like, oh, the elevators are broke. Yeah, the elevators are down now. Well, now they're putting in brand new elevators because then they would actually break too. You know what I mean?
Right.
They had to have issues because, I mean, they get so much use, you know?
Well, what would happen, just because I don't, just explain to me, if that dam was to break, what all would that affect?
Oh, that would be fucking catastrophic, dude.
I mean, what's all downriver from the dam?
Well, down there, I mean, that's the border that's the Colorado River.
Okay.
So that's the border. In those parts from south there is Nevada and Arizona. And
Would the
and
water
then it
reach
goes-
Vegas and all that? Would it?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm just trying to get visually where it's at.
It would all go south. No, that's south. That's southeast of Vegas, Lake Mead.
Okay.
But we're talking, 7-8 trillion gallons of water.
And
That's in there now, you know.
It's gonna hit people's homes and things like that.
Oh
too.
yeah, dude.
Okay.
Like Laughlin would be gone. Like any river town would just be fucking. It'd
Wiped
be a
out.
matter of minutes, before they were completely just engulfed.
Okay.
It's funny too.
When I go out there, I want to go out there. I want you to have you take me out to because I've never been to the dam, and I want to.
Yeah, man. I
So-
do the tours, but I like doing private tours. I like doing that. It on the company. Especially like people I know, I like taking them out there, and because
That's what you should
there's a
start
lot of-
marketing like a conspiracy themed.
right, yeah.
That you do your own chores. You do your own little tour.
Oh,
things, right?
there's a lot of conspiracy. There's a lot of Masonic stuff out there. It could
Oh,
point
I
out.
bet. That's what I also want to look at.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like I love taking people because I can talk about other stuff. But I've actually woven it into my tour anyways because I mean, fuck it, dude.
Drop a few truth bombs on them.
Oh yeah,
little,
yeah.
Little
But,
thing stoppers,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
And but I like I like a good conspiracy, and like being out there. One of the things that's really funny is I get people that are always like, oh, have you heard the Nazi conspiracy about Hoover Dam? And I was like, oh, what? Which I have, but
Right.
I'm like, oh, what is it? Yeah, it's like, yeah, they're gonna bring a submarine out to Lake Mead and blow up the dam. And I was like, you haven't thought that through, have you? I'm like, between the ocean and here, anywhere to get, there's like 36 different military bases.
Right.
At first, they got to get to port. And what are they going to do? Disguise that thing as a fucking Oscar Mayer Wienermobile?
Right.
I go, and then when they're in that water and they destroy that thing, how the fuck are they going to get out without getting fucking ripped downstream? I mean, come on. Like, what the fuck? Like,
Well, they
dude,
could sacrifice themselves. That could be a thing. But like,
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. But I'm just saying, like, I mean, unless it was like, and I never say this on the tour, but I'm like, unless this is like the ultimate inside job, like, there's
Right.
no way that's ever fucking happening.
Yeah, no
like,
shit.
I mean, you're fucking real.
what's the level of security there that at least that you're aware of? Like, I got to think that there's like additional security on Lake Mead and all that stuff is all.
There's well, Lake Mead is Parks and Recreation, or the park rangers and all stuff like that. It's a national park.
Mhm.
It's a
I would think there would be a
National-
near military presence.
Well, we have DHS. We have
Okay.
2 private securities, and then there's the parks down there.
Okay.
And there's a heavy security presence.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Ultimately, man, unless unless it's something again like an inside dealie,
It'd be next to impossible to.
yeah, there's nothing that you can do. There's nothing that you could do that could fucking dent a dam. Like
Till we
during
have that earthquake.
during World War
that
II.
one
Well, that
was-
thing's designed to withstand upwards to basically like an 8.5, 9 point.
Oh no
earthquake.
shit! I didn't
Like,
know that. Okay.
That's the idea. They said, the same thing about Fukushima, but an earthquake didn't break it, but allowed a compromise to where water got into reactors. So, nothing's foolproof. But here's my conspiracy on something that makes me nervous.
Go for it.
When it, dude, fuck, I don't want to put this juju out in the world, but this is this is one of my things. This is how my mind thinks a little bit. But when it comes to like on a conspiratorial side of things, and Hoover Dam being a target, and one of the only ways that you really could do anything is if you had some big heavy explosives and fuck, I don't even know if I should say this, but
My first thought was always like, just why similar like now you just plane it. You just fly a plane into it.
no.
don't
That's
think?
that's like it's like one of those nuclear silos.
It's that
You know what
that
I mean?
built.
Oh,
that-
dude,
okay.
it's
You couldn't just
the base
crash
is-
a plane into it and it's going to crack it. It wouldn't happen.
the base is 660 feet
Thick?
wide, thick.
Holy shit.
It's 45 feet thick at the top.
Okay.
You're really not going to penetrate. There's nothing that's going
But if it's a plane packed full of explosives, maybe.
I
No?
probably
Okay.
doubt it. And then it unless it was let happen, you'd have to be an ace fucking pilot to get it in.
Well, I dropped out of terrorism school, so
Yeah.
I didn't.
You'd have to be an ace pilot, but you get unless they they didn't scramble fast enough. But we got Air Force Base right there. I mean, that'd be a
Well, I can imagine there's
fucking
probably
case.
some air defense, surface to air missiles, probably somewhere along the.
that there
Or
is
out.
that there is, and the only way, fuck, yeah, this is a tough one for me to say, dude. But
Right.
the only way for anything that would be able to go down would be a time like now, to where you have guys installing elevators.
Right.
Technically, fuck, dude, I don't know if I should say this shit, dude.
Because what if it happens and there's
Well,
like.
dude, like, okay, dude, if you're gonna, the only chance I think you'd have of like causing that kind of damage would be to not. It wouldn't be the dam itself. It would be off to the side of the dam, the water work. You destroy that.
Right.
You'd have no way of stopping that water. And then eventually
It would just.
that push that
That would destroy itself.
It would. It could.
Okay.
I hate saying that. You might want to cut that shit out. I don't want any fucking trouble, dude. But
He didn't
dude-
do it if it happens. Is what
yeah,
I'm saying.
yeah. But this is the conspiratorial mind at work, dude.
Right.
When you get into when
Somebody's
you
going to have these mind modeling sessions
well,
to think about these things.
people have talked about this, and they actually have YouTube explaining stuff like this, but not to the extent of like where I'm looking at is like, well, 9/11, they supposedly had those art students that were doing all that stuff, and
Yeah.
and then there's pictures of the explosive boxes, like it has like the number for the explosion or whatever, or the whatever the compound or whatever,
Right.
in those photos, you know what I mean, where they're like doing all the work. That's how stuff gets bypassed.
Right.
Like you get that government work, dude. You just do what you do what you're told. You know what I mean? Like, who knows, man? You could have been rolling that paint.
Yeah.
Like
That's a lot of what the 9/11 thing was about. They were doing something within the elevators. There was some kind of service happening prior to the 9/11. So that
there
means
was two things. There was there was like work on the elevators, like there was like a remodeling or something, right? It was a long deal, took a long time, and there was also like a rewiring of the surveillance or like security system.
okay. I was aware of that.
When
one.
you say rewiring,
Right. Also, you need an excuse
you're
to
in every
yeah.
fucking nook and cranny of that place, aren't you? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You're going where they're running all it, so it's like and then there's photos of the charges going off, before. Oh no, that's the compression. Really? All the way down there?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Like there's no easier way for things to escape
Like,
than
look at-
exploding out of the side of a wall.
Yeah, look at those steel girders that that are shooting out at 600 miles an hour
Yeah.
or whatever,
Multi-ton pieces of chunk with horizontal force
trajectory.
moving in it away from the building, defeating the pull of gravity. Like there's an explosion happening
Yeah,
there.
dude, total fucking.
That energy didn't just come out of nowhere. That's
Yeah, some of even like it goes up from where it's.
in an arcing angel. There's
Yeah, so again, coincidence theory, right?
yeah.
But yeah, dude, if it damn this, that would be something they could, that would totally have to be an inside deal though for anything to happen over there. There's
Right.
no way you could get any. They're so the security, it makes me comfortable because I think they're good. I think they do a great job. We had that guy on the Memorial Bypass Bridge remember that the Inspector General reports that come out. There was a guy
No.
from Henderson, Nevada, who made a armored truck into an RV, a livable RV.
Why do I not know about this?
Fit with an air conditioner.
Okay.
And he goes, and it's armored truck, and he goes and he blockades the Memorial Bypass Bridge. So he avoids.
When was this?
Yeah, in like July or whenever they were doing the Inspector General. I mean, if you look it up on the computer, you can
I keep talking so I can write a note.
you can see the the Inspector General, the armored truck, Hoover Dam deal, and they kick everybody out. You know what I mean? Like before, if anybody jumped, and it was because of like he said he had weapons and shit. If anybody jumped before, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, no, business as usual."
Where
whatever.
where did this happen at?
This is at Hoover Dam.
At Hoover. It was at the dam.
Well, it was at the bridge.
How did I not know this? Oh, the bridge leading to the dam.
Well, no, the bridge the dam used to be how you got across the Colorado River,
Right.
right?
Oh, it's
To
not
get
that
in-
way
to get
anymore?
into Arizona. You can drive across it, but you have to come out the way you came in to get back to the highway. So they have it totally. It's just for a tourist spot now.
Okay,
There's
so it's
no-
one way in,
There's
one
no
way out.
commerce. Yeah, there's no traveling, right? No, there's no commercial traffic or anything like that. You have to go over the Memorial Bypass Bridge, which is awesome. It's this amazing arch compression bridge. You're 900 feet above the water. I mean, it's beautiful. Or above the river, and you get to see Hoover Dam down below. Well, anyways, this guy driving southbound into Arizona stops in the middle and blockades the southbound lane. Tells the authorities he wants to see the unredacted Inspector General reports about Hillary Clinton, this, that, and the other thing.
Shit.
I've got guns. I have enough stuff here to last 21 days or something like that. I have enough provisions to last 20 days.
Right.
And this is like in July.
Well, you don't tell them that. You don't tell them. Oh, we'll just wait him out for 20 days.
Well,
We'll be all right.
this is I crafted a joke about this. Well, one of the things is in Vegas, it gets very hot in the summer. You have signs all over. You have commercials. You have billboards. Don't leave your pets and your kids in the car. Da, da, da. And the joke is I always say, when I was a kid growing up in the '80s, no one ever died in a car. You know what I mean? When my mom went to go gamble, she'd leave us in there like 8 hours.
Right.
Like I go and she would fill it up with smoke first. We're fine. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, I go, so I was like, these kids, these days are just weak. It's just a weaker generation.
Right.
So I get back into telling the story about this guy, and I go, he's up there, and this is true. The SWAT, they form, they get up there, and after they clear everything,
Right.
now it's like the official standoff. They're up there. We're driving. We're like bumper to bumper traffic. We can see the police line. We can see the deal, right? We can see the truck, and we're snail pacing on down the thing. SWAT, after the fucking shooting, they're not playing around. They never play around, anyways. If you know about Vegas SWAT, and they see the air conditioning unit on top,
Oh, just
totally
shoot that.
exposed. One shot, take that fucking thing out. AC don't work. 19 minutes was the standoff. That's all the dude could last in that fucking thing. 19 minutes. And I'm like, so and on the bus, I go, these fucking millennials, they're weak.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we would have been up there. We would have died in that motherfucker.
That's hilarious.
You know? But, yeah, dude, fucking hold up the place. And they got
I
everybody
can't believe I
out.
didn't know that. Why did I
Yeah.
not know that story?
And it's really weird, man. It was like kind of like a psyop deal because, like, the guy did it and it was like total support for like Trump, but at the same time, it was like a rib at Trump. But what makes me think that it was like an organic thing too is, you know, was this the guy going willy nilly and like going off on his thing? It was buried.
Right.
Buried. You know what I mean? I mean, what more, like, how, like, what greater gift to the, this thing's yawning over here?
Oh, she's stretching. Yeah, she's stretching her jaw.
Nice.
Nice.
I'm like, it's having a stroke.
You know when they eat, they dislocate their jaw to swallow food,
Yeah.
so they can drop that jawbone in and out at any time. So
That's crazy.
yeah. So after she eats a
What is
big
it?
meal, you'll see her like opening her mouth just like she did just there, and she's rearranging, getting that jawbone back into place.
It's the opposite of chicks that have what's that TMJ?
TMJ, yes, the opposite. She'll take as much cock as you can give her, but she'll eat it. She'll swallow it.
I don't think there's a gag reflex.
Nah.
But yeah, it was just really strange that, you know, this guy, why the media, I mean, he was like a Trump supporter. What a better gift to the left-wing media to lambaste nutty Trump people.
And this was
You
just
know,
this last summer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whenever the last, yeah, the inspector general or inspector, what, I don't know, general fucking reports about, you know, how they're coming out and they're all redacted and they wanted to know more about, you know, I don't know if it was the uranium one or if it had to deal with the Haiti. There's the emails
Or a little from column
some
A, from a
shit.
little from column B, probably. A little bit of everything. You
Yeah,
wanna
probably a
see.
little everything when it comes to the Clintons, dude.
Yeah, no shit. Well, we're getting close on time here.
Fucking A.
As for the episode, that went by quick. I don't know if we ever got into the topic that we wanted to talk specifically about, like mind control and media, in as far as how the media operates mind control, maybe not the literal sense of mind control, but how it influences. But we talked a lot about that, right? We covered some of that.
Well, yeah, it was not like a focal point, but it's woven in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think if anything, we maybe got from this episode more of like, not specifics about conspiracies as much as like why you should be open to the idea of conspiracies. Maybe what this episode ends up being about.
Yeah.
Because I think we talked a lot about that, about why we think what we think, or why we've had
that's-
change of thoughts that we did.
That's the whole like kind of angle on like my podcast, you know, the whole Think Stopper thing is.
And I'm going to mention in the front, but go ahead and plug it and tell people where they can get it and what you're talking about on there.
Oh yeah, thinkstopper.com is the website. It's on Podbean, it's on iTunes, all that other good stuff. And I have an Instagram, Thinkstopper. It's one word. But the whole idea is I'm not trying to get anybody to believe what I believe or anything, but like stop and think, like quit going with the crowd, quit being herded along, you know, like the mind control aspect is how everybody just live in that soundbite world. They believe the clickbait headlines, you know,
Right.
like they're like, oh, I don't need to read it. And in some cases, dude, I really don't need to read it because I just look at the publication like, oh, this is what they're going to say, you know,
Right.
like because this is what's going to shape the narrative. And I go and I scan through and I'm like, well, that was a waste of 2 minutes, you
Right.
know, like, you know, the mind control aspect is this how people just believe and they just. One of my big issues, and I'm not an anti-science guy by any means, you know, but people think I am when I'm like, hey, dude, why are you just believing these people? Like, why are you just outright believing NASA? They're the only authority on things. Like, there's no competition. There's nothing really like, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, and I don't want to get into that because they, you know, but another one. Why are you just believing these doctors? Why? You know, one of my good friends who's an anesthesiologist, and when he was in medical school, and he's coming back, and we're hanging out and stuff. I was like, dude, it's something I can learn from your experience in this stuff. Don't get hurt and don't get sick. I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, they're just going to go in there and they're going to drug you up, and they're going to go and prescribe drugs to you. You know, he's like, They don't know nutrition. They don't, and they're so busy trying to pay their bills, doctors and stuff like that, and run their practice and do this, that, and the other thing, and they're just trying to get paid. So
Right.
when the pharmaceutical rep comes in and starts dangling all this stuff, oh yeah, you're gonna get X amount for each prescription that gets called in. You're gonna get X amount for every ampule of vaccines that you give, and da 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 da. Now they're not gonna question anything. Now they're gonna defend it, And he told me, he was like, dude, he's like, you got to be careful, These people are people, and they have bills and responsibilities. So my friend was
And
like,
again, that feeds to the argument. Everybody can be corrupted. Everybody can be
Yeah.
corrupt and do criminal things, regardless if it's street level gamblers and hustlers and drug dealers.
it's just a different. It's painted a different way. It's given a different.
That's
take.
how people. This is one of the arguments you get when you talk about conspiracies. Is like, why would people do this? Because they're fucking greedy. It's like I've seen it. Growing up in the environment I grew up in, I've seen it at street level. I've seen people hurt other people for minimal amounts of money.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing that changes as you progress up the social ladder is wealth and influence and opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't their crimes be a little bit more grandiose and better funded and more impactful? They've got the tools to do it, and anybody can be corrupted. I use myself as an example. I don't know right now. I think morally I don't have a number of what I would sell out for, but who knows when they start stacking money in front of me on a thing, at what point would I say, fuck it? Let me just play along.
No, exactly. It's like, how can you believe like the Rachel Maddows and all these talking when they're getting paid tens of millions of dollars a year? They're getting she's getting like what, over $30,000 an episode. Do you think she's gonna?
And the minute she says something not the script, that all goes away, and that's terrifying to be nobody again.
Do you think that she's not gonna fucking sell that? You know what I mean? Like, what it was.
Well, here's what I say maybe she's that type of person who would, and maybe that's why she's there. Is the reason that people get in these prominent positions is because they're the ones that will do it. That there are people who won't do it, but guess what? They're not getting in the door.
Well, they always
or if they get in the door,
it's
they
a
get
filtration process.
Yeah.
You have to show that you're a player.
Right.
You're a gamer. You're in. You know what I mean? Like,
or at least so they get enough evidence on you that's like, okay, well, you played the ball, or we're gonna expose this. That was always the most terrifying angle to the Snowden shit to me. Was if we're going to say everything that Snowden said was real, and I believe I don't see any reason not to. If all these people were being spied on, well, how many people that were being spied on were politicians or became politicians?
Mm-hmm.
And then once they get in the office, hey, you remember that kid you used to fuck back in whatever?
Oh yeah.
Well, here's this video of it that we shot through the camera that we have implanted in your fucking laptop. I want you to do this bill, that bill, and do everything we say, or we're going to expose that. It's just that easy.
It is that easy.
It should be the whole country, its whole leadership, its whole government, its whole system of laws have been infiltrated. We know that now.
No,
why would we trust any drop of it at all? Why wouldn't we want to question every fucking thing out there?
And that's then you go to the mind control, because it really fucks with people, because everything we're led to believe since day one is always, everything's a fucking lie. In order to, sad to say, but in order to accept any of the shit that we're saying, as far as like to not be emotionally responsive to it, as far as saying it's bullshit or da da da, when you start defending the other side of like what I'm talking about, you haven't unlearned.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that was the biggest thing, is I had to unlearn. I had to if I had to go against what, flies against what I knew, you know what I mean? And it goes all the way down to the educational system. I mean, and that's a deep rabbit hole there, but all the way led up. But like I was real quick, I was mentioning about the the mind control aspect and stuff, and this goes into this, but it's like, people really keep things in place, you know what I mean? And people will keep a secret. So even when they know it's fucked, like people say, oh, they can never do it. People keep secrets. Mm-hmm. People keep secrets. People don't understand.
For different motivations. I mean, it can be whatever. It can be ideological. It can be financial. It can be fear, shame.
Ask any Mason what goes on, what they tell you. They're not going to tell you. Mm-hmm. They're not going to tell you. You ask anybody that ran for a fraternity what they did, hazing, what's their da-da-da. They're not going to tell you. They're going to take that to the grave.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now just think of people that actually have like real shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, dude, it happens all the time. You find these guys, they fucking get busted, and you're like, dude, that guy got arrested for murder. Like 20 years ago. You're like, what do you mean 20 years ago? He's a fucking ball coach. Da, da, da. You know what I mean? Like, he's been pillar of society because fucking people
Keep secrets.
they can keep fucking secrets. You know what I mean?
Right.
Until like shit comes down. It's just funny how people they like, again, when I say mind control, people think of like, you know, hypnotic, sleep.
Right.
It's done in a different way. You know, it's done with these social norms. It's done with the whole attack on your feelings. You know, it's been done to us since we were children.
And like we were talking about before, we've studied how the human mind reacts to certain things under certain conditions and presented in certain ways. There's a science to it. It's a proven science it's implemented in every angle of advertising. It's everything.
It's
So
how you get people to shop. It's how you get people to support wars. It's
by
how people-
definition, that is brainwashing. That's what it is. It's mind control.
Yeah, and then when you have the control of the airwaves, you know, radio. I mean, that whole
Six companies owning all the media outlets on the
Right.
fucking planet for the most part.
and that's just been a big consolidation, and people don't understand. Like, we're like, oh, well, you can get your news from blog sites and you know,
Where do you get yours from? The fucking
yeah, you're getting churned out by the CIA. You
you
know
know,
what
all
I mean?
those videos play all the time of where they take all these snippets of news from different, you know, local media outlets across the country, and they all say word for word the same fucking thing.
Oh, isn't that scary?
Yeah, and like, well, that's just the way they do it. It's AP stories. Yeah, who the fuck you think the AP is?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a filtration
And that's
device to
been
get this uniformed form of information into the mass majority of people's minds at one time.
Yeah, and that's how you shape the narrative. That's how you sell weapons of mass destruction. That's how you sell, you know, that's how you get people who don't know anything. But, you know, we were talking before the podcast, you know, the whole throwing the babies out of incubators and stuff, and then they prove that none of that happened. They never found any mothers. They never found any babies or any of
for
that
the
stuff.
uninitiated. That during the original Iraq War when we were looking for. Yeah, it was Iraq 1, right? Yeah. When we were looking for reasons
It was to go into to help Kuwait.
Yeah, we were trying to find justification. Manufacturing consent is what it's called. Getting enough people to have an emotional response to what was going on. They had a 15-year-old girl testify as to what she claimed to observe.
Crying.
Yeah, the Iraqi soldiers coming in, taking babies out of incubators, killing them and all this stuff, just the most horrific possible image. Well, it turns out after the fact that was a complete made-up lie. She was actually the daughter of a Kuwaiti ambassador to the United States. She wasn't this nurse or this
She was like
observer.
a CIA-trained
She was all that was all connected into the fucking CIAs and, you know, their connection to Kuwaiti and all that. So that's a fact now. It's not like we're not conspiracy guys making this shit up. I mean, you can look that shit up. It's been confirmed, but that was a major component into that justification, that manufactured justification, and to get people, because I was one of those ones. I was a kid who was sitting around the TV watching these airplanes dropping bombs. I'm like, fuck yeah, we're doing this shit. It's like a goddamn video game.
It's all targeting the reptilian brain.
Yeah,
you know?
man. It was.
So what happens there is it bypasses all logical thought and gets you. So then what happens on the media level?
It hits those patriotism buttons. It hits those fear buttons.
They get the emotion.
Emotional about the kids. They get a whole soup of just emotional fucking garbage going through your head and just shutting down all the thinking.
Yeah, they bypass that. Then they start putting all that emotion into like you're saying, the kids and stuff. They get that into your like your core, where your I don't want to say your subconscious, but it's like down to your reptilian brain, you know, your fight or flight, your instinctual kind of response. So then that gets you worked up, you know? And so then what ends up happening while you're going, and they're like, and then this, and you're like, fuck yeah, fuck them, and then that, and then did this, and like, oh, that's insane. We need to do something.
Right.
And then that now they got the consent. Now they got you to be like, yeah, I'm on board. Da, 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 da. Again, problem, reaction, solution. They do it all the time, in justifying. You know, that's how they got into the Vietnam. You know,
Gulf of Tonkin incident.
Yep.
Our men are floating in the waters. Our body is floating in the water. Wasn't no attack.
Kosovo. They did. It was like some shit. They pulled off with that. We attacked ourselves.
Right.
I mean, it's just a long list, and we buy it. And my whole thing is like, you can't let it. You can't let them lead us along like that. Like you gotta. Like I say, snap out of it. Just take a moment.
That's why I feel.
Don't hit the retweet. Don't hit the reshare. Don't hit the. You know what I mean? Take a second.
Right.
Like I said, the whole idea. Stop and think. Think stopper. Fucking just give it a moment. There's so many times where like I want to initially just I'll read something and bam, share it, and I'm like, I'm not gonna. Hold on, I'm gonna wait, and then reading it, I'm like, okay, the emotion's out of it. I'm like, all right, now I can kind of like see this or see it for what it is, and I don't post it. Because it was designed to get me to go one way or the other.
Right.
But one of the things though that really gets me, and we got off of it, but when it comes to like science, I was saying I'm not an anti-science guy, but science is now the new religion for atheists, for people that are into religion. Science is the new religion. This is what I'm saying. When it came to religions back in the day, and when it came to the priest class, scientists are the new priest class.
Mm-hmm.
They were the only ones that knew how to read. They were the only ones that were making these translations, right? And you had all the masses who were just hearing what they said, and you're getting this interpretation, you're getting this whatever. That's today with science.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole nother language. They're running all these tests. They're doing all this stuff, right? And then they come out and say, "Oh, this is this, that, and the other thing. Da 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 da. This is how it is. Da da da. We've science, right?" Everybody goes out. Da 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 da. Everybody now like they believe the white coats, right? This guy said it, and this guy said it. And it was like, well, dude, did you do this work? Did you,
Did you even look at the research that they did?
Were you in the pharmaceutical studies? Were you in the jet propulsion like kind of thing? Because I'm not saying that they're wrong, but I have to be inclined to just not run off with it because I really don't know. And how many times have they gone back and been like, oh yeah, well that's how we thought at that time. Now it's different.
Oh, guess what? Cigarettes aren't good for you.
Right? Yeah, exactly, right? The doctors don't choose Camel or Lucky Strikes now. And the whole thing was like, don't you see where the money's coming from? And they're using these people to shape the narrative and and stuff. And I was like, I have friends who are just, they hate Trump, not because he's Republican. They hate Trump because he's a billionaire. Mm. And they're all like against billionaires and the rich. Hate the rich. And then they're the very first ones to be like, make sure your kids get your flu shots, get your vaccines. Don't question the doctors. Don't question, the planet's round. Yeah, I'm just saying, they just, Elon Musk's car was flying in space. Like this, because it's official. It's da-da-da-da. And I was like, dude, where's your hate for the billionaires? Don't you think that these multi-billion-dollar conglomerate companies...
Especially when you start talking about pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, I'm saying pharmaceuticals. You really think they're there to help you? Here you hate these billionaires, and they say they're greedy and but you're going to take their fucking poison? You're going to take their shit? And I don't care what anybody fucking says about vaccines. I have my stance on it. I have my personal experience, and no one's going to sway me on how I feel. And I don't go out, and I don't go parade. I don't have the argument. Mm-hmm. I'll have the discussion. But here's one of the things when I say about this. If you are truly pro-vaccine, you have to look on the opposite side. You can't just go, Jenny McCarthy, Dr. Wakefield, which that guy, Dr. Wakefield, was actually proven correct, is right. He was completely absolved, but he didn't have the money to defend himself like his partner did, who was completely absolved, but he had the money. So how can you go off the same data and say that guy is fucking cool, but you're not cool, right? But they have all come around. Anyways, how are you going to believe these fucking people without even, you know what I mean? Like, without even just looking at not even looking at human nature.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and
strictly faith.
And, and I love how everybody's just like, oh, yeah, you look at vaccines, measles, measles, right? Well, if you look at the history, measles was on its way out until the vaccines came in. Then there was a big spike in measles again. You know, I mean, can you explain how it was tapering out before the implementation of these vaccines? I would like to know. I mean, I'd like to see how you know. But then here's the other thing. But one thing.
Go ahead.
Trusting these people. And they just came out and said, trusting these pharmaceutical companies. I remember watching an old video of how vaccines were, an old 50s video.
Mm-hmm.
Black and white, beautifully narrated. And at the end, after saying they had mercury in it, right? It says, oh yeah, in the last filtration process, before it's put into the ampules, it's run through a bed of asbestos. And this is how they're educationally putting this out.
Right.
And then they come out and they say, oh, yeah, you know, they just came out recently and they acknowledged the pharmaceutical companies. Oh, yeah, you know, back in the 60s, 50s, and 60s, yeah, they're like, yeah, there was a lot of carcinogens, cancer-causing carcinogens in there. And then from those vaccines from that era, we have, boom, crazy explosion in fucking cancers.
Yeah, that's the thing. And anybody who's losing their fucking mind right now about even suggesting that, you know, there's anything wrong with getting your shot, your kids, you know, their injections or whatever. I'm not arguing one way or the other, but I'm not arguing that they're not hurtful, and I'm not arguing that they're not also helpful. They can be both. I mean, they can be designed to fight off these diseases and do all that stuff too, but the process, you know, of creating them, the mercury that's in them can have, you know, there could be enough to do whatever.
Well, just the fact, this is why you can't,
people are claiming.
This is why you can't mandate vaccines. For let's just take the population at 330 million people, right? And let's say you're mandatory vaccine everybody, right? All across the board. Everybody's got to get whatever this shot, whatever that shot is. You're going to have, from just allergic reactions alone, you're going to have 3 million deaths.
Right.
Where is that acceptable in life where you're just like fucking going to kill 3 million people because, you know, you're forcing them to take the shot? That would be cause for our country to invade another country. Mm-hmm. They would fucking, they're fucking killing.
We did it for 3,000. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So, and all these people are like, oh, well, this doesn't work. Like, yes, it does, dude. I know many, sadly, vaccine-injured adults. Right. You know what I mean? And here's my, you know, I know what you're saying. There's a buffer either way, and I don't, you know, I'm not out there. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm an unvaxxer. Right. You know, and like I said, you just got to look at the information on the other side. Because once you do, because I was for it. I'm like, get your fucking shots, idiots. Right. You know, at the same time, I was like, bomb them fuckers. You know what I mean? Like you had to unlearn a lot of, you know, there's a lot of stuff to unlearn. But, I always tell people, because my friends, my wife's friend, she was like, you got to get your kids, you know, you got to get vaccine, you got to get into school. And I was like, no, we have an exemption here. Da, da. She's like, yeah, but what about measles? And I was like, educating her on that. And I go, well, you're so concerned about measles. I was like, do you have your measles vaccine? Do you have your, I got them when I was a kid. I go, well, do you know by the term of by the manufacturers of those, even from way back then, you have to get them every 5 to 7 years. Otherwise, is
that a thing? I didn't know that.
So what people mistake is a vaccine is from natural immunization, for when your body fights it off, then you're supposed to you never get it again. Mm-hmm. Your body has like completely destroyed it. Well, people
like chickenpox.
Yeah.
Because I had chickenpox as a kid.
Yeah, and I know people that have had chickenpox twice. I know people that have had. I haven't. I had them once. But my grandpa never had them.
Okay. His
whole life, he's never had, unless he said he had them when he was a baby, and he can't remember. But he's never had them. He's 92.
Okay.
You know, but when your body naturally fights it off, that's when you never get it back. People think, because they're injecting you with the measles virus or whatever, and your body, you know, since you're vaccinated, then you'll never get it. Well, that's not the case, you know. And they say that people think you're vaccinated forever. No, what they're doing is they're taking an old wives' tale from basically they're taking the sales pitch and they're mixing it in with the reality of when your immune system fights off something. Okay. You know, and there's going to be people who are listening, and there's going to be people like, you don't know what the fuck he's talking about. He doesn't have a degree and stuff. I'm like, dude, I can't
argue one way. I don't know enough about it.
I was going to say, I don't have to. People have done this research for me, right. You know, for all of us. Right. You know, it's all there. It just depends if you want to read, if you want to listen, and if you want to, entertain the other side of the argument.
And I assume that their sources and all that are there and open for debunking if somebody wants to do that. Right?
100%. And that was the whole thing about the Dr. Wakefield guy. His whole thing was like, yeah, dude, the metals are going down in the gut and it's causing problems in the gut, and that's causing an autoimmune response, and those metals are from that point are making their way into the head, and those are the neural pathways that are damaged and they're being attacked, and that's why these kids are having excruciating pains, and that's it's so terrible to watch.
Is this person also say it's a contributor to autism as well? Is this?
That was the guy that was saying was a connection. It was via the gut. And
I do again. I have not looked into this conspiracy, if you want to call it a conspiracy, enough. I just tell people, like, look, it wouldn't surprise me if vaccines are hurting people, but I do want to know absolutely, especially now because my girlfriend's younger son has been diagnosed as being on the spectrum of autism, and I want to know where this bloom of fucking autism came from.
Right. Well, dude, you start seeing,
and it correlates right along with a lot of the explosions with the new advancements in the vaccine. So,
well, dude, and then
get mad at me if you want to. I want to know an answer to that question. I want to know why that is.
And look at one of the things too when it comes to V-chip, vaccine injury
Compensation Act.
Yeah, compensation plan. Where since its inception or since it was put into place, they've had I think now it's like close to $8 billion in payouts.
Right.
And these are people that had to lose everything on top of having a vaccine injured child, to get any kind of recognition or compensation, And one of the things that's crazy about that is how that's not brought up. It's very like people in the argument, they barely bring that up,
Right.
And but you have a lot of people, they're doctors, and their kids are injured, and they're going, and people are like, oh, conspiracy, oh, they're just jaded. And I'm like, no, dude, there's some shit going on, and when you see the amount that they have versus when we were kids, they were giving us fucking shots. You look at the amount that they have, and you look at the spike, how the number was like 1 in 10,000. Now it's like 1 in 58 or something with these kids. Having friends' kids, injured, I look at it like this, dude. Like, don't just buy into it. Do your thing. We did with our kids. We did with our kids. I did my research. I did my whole thing. And when I say we did with our, we didn't. I didn't vaccinate my kids. Now the plan here is if we do, I'm going by way of the Japanese. How the Japanese do, they don't vaccinate until they're older, right?
So that's why I thought too, because they've not only did they increase the amount. I mean, there's so many different ones that we didn't get.
Dude,
when we
now
were
it's
kids.
for everything, dude.
Right.
Now they're like stub toe vaccines.
So maybe it's not individually, and I just try to make it more palatable of an idea. Well, maybe it's not the individual vaccines, but how the individual vaccines react when combined within the body system, or at the age and weakness of a newborn baby. It's like that's what I always thought. It was like the as they get older, when the body's immune system is stronger and the body's able to process more, then why can't we do that if that's available?
It's like 2 years the immune system isn't fully equipped.
Right.
So then why are you just gonna blast a brand new newborn baby with fucking with mercury and all this crazy shit? And people don't understand, man. Like, people don't understand, dude, that like as durable as the human body is, that stuff's going right past the blood-brain barrier. It's different. Like, people are like, oh, it's mercury. There's mercury in fish. There's mercury in your potato chips. Yeah. And it goes through a process in your body, which still isn't good for you, but it's still, I
mean, doctors tell you don't eat X amount of fish. I mean, just don't
Right,
eat fish from here, or don't eat a lot of the fish, or eat minimal. If you're pregnant, definitely don't eat fish.
But when it
wait, because of mercury? Oh, you mean the mercury you're going to inject the baby in after it's born? Oh, okay, that makes sense.
the body will hold it. The body will hold it in or eliminate it if it's ingested, right?
Right.
But when it goes right into the blood, it's going to circulate. It's going to go to the brain. It's going to cause, all sorts of issues and stuff. And again, people are like, "Oh, you're just a comedian. You're just that and the other thing. You don't know what you're talking about." Again, you're leaving it up to the priest class, and you're not listening to the other people who, science is not settled, and the science that that you guys, a lot of people are relying on, is science that is is manufactured, packaged, and used to sold a product, and that's the bottom line, you know. And I'm not saying, I'm not saying go out and buy fucking essential oils and do whatever, but you know, just know, like it's a very once they got you on pills, it's tough to get off. And I'm not talking about it. I'm talking about blood pressure. I'm talking about statins. You know, like there's a conspiracy with that. You know, that's actually and it's been proven that statins are causing fucking strokes. They're supposed to prevent strokes, but they're causing them.
I don't even know what that is. Is that
statins like supposed to reduce your cholesterol and stuff like that? But what's known is, or what's been found out in science, in nutrition, is you need fats. You need the good fats.
Right.
You need the good cholesterol. Your brain's all cholesterol, right? Well, when you start reducing that, then stuff that was normally pulsating and thriving, now it's just getting dilapidated and it's dwindling. It's not getting the proper blood flow and stuff like that, and you have a stroke. You know, you should get shorted out. You know, that's what these statins are supposed to reduce the cholesterol. Well, that's what's feeding your brain. Your brain's majority fat. You know what I mean? That's why they've come to find out, like ketogenic diets, like high fat diets, help out people with brain problems.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the amount of fat in there, people.
I know that for a fact. Was when I've talked about on the podcast before, when I got up to 404 pounds and lost 100 plus pounds in over a couple of years. I talked with that about my doctor, and he said, well, what it is as you're losing this weight and you're changing your diet specifically, you're eating more healthy foods and things like that, you're clearing the plaque that has built up in your brain's passages, and that's why I noticed this explosion in my writing comedically. Like I was like writing way more shit,
Well,
and
you're gonna get
my
a
brain seemed like
fog.
it's firing more, faster and more accurately in a lot of different areas. And he said that's exactly what it is. Is the connectors that were blocked with plaque have lost that now, and now your brain is out and your brain is processing at a high level. It's totally natural to.
I was gonna say,
experience that.
you start getting a high fat diet, dude. You'd be fucking just,
Right.
you start going.
Yeah, it's all that good of coconut oil and shit, man.
Oh yeah, butter, bacon grease, coconut oil,
Yeah.
avocado oil.
Yeah, man. Oh, love it. I don't have an avocado when I get down here. We are desperately too deep in this episode here.
Sorry, dude.
No, it's good. That's good. We have to do another episode soon just to keep talking. But again, like I mentioned before, I think the best thing to take from this episode is there's plenty of reasons. You don't believe what he says, don't believe what I say, but at least believe in the idea of questioning what's being fed to you. You know, and literally fed to you in a lot of cases too. Question how your food's getting to you and what they're doing to that before it comes to your table. But question what the media feeds you, the information that's being fed to you.
Look at
and
the
give to you.
look at the packaging and look at like what emotional chords are being struck, or
Right.
they're targeting.
Always pan the picture out a little bit farther. If they're giving you a stamp, look at the
Right.
whole envelope.
30-second video or 3-hour video.
Yeah, and it's not you're not going to do it every time because, like I said, I just got caught up in it before talking about the Magna Hat kids. I was one of the ones, and it took me a couple days to get through the videos like you. One more time though, before we sign off here, where to find your podcast and anything you want to promote.
Yeah, thinkstopper.com, and we're based out of Vegas. So if you guys are ever in Vegas, hit me up, Trez Mala.
Get your private conspiracy themed tours of the dam.
We'll do a Vegas conspiracy tour and all that stuff like that. But yeah, trezmala.com. You can find me there. I'm on all social media, but really just pushing the podcast and comedy. But I'm just trying to do like you. I'm trying to shape up, get a good.
Make that your hub.
Yeah,
my hub is the podcast, man.
But yeah, I'm out of Vegas. You can find me on all that stuff. We got a YouTube. Just put the podcast up on it, but we're going to be doing videos and stuff. Real quick, I'd like to do a little small plug for
sure.
My co-host.
Oh, God, please.
My co-host. He just got this little thing signed up with A&E or whatnot. They're doing did a little pilot when I was out here, but he's going to get it going on. He's a bail bondsman in Vegas. Easy bail bonds. So if you're ever in trouble in Vegas, remember Easy bail bonds.
Nice.
But his name's Mikey Slyman. He was one of the creators or the creator of Bum Fights.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
I want to interview him. Tell him I want him on the podcast.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I used to love Bum Fights.
Yeah,
I'm guilty for how much I enjoyed watching the bum fights.
So yeah, I didn't even know until like we started hanging out, and then I was like, he kept talking about it. I was like, "What's the deal?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm one of the guys." So I was like, "Oh shit," like, and
That's
yeah.
amazing.
But yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to him because he helps out and stuff, and he brings a lot of good stuff to the table as far as the podcast.
Very cool.
But yeah, Mikey Slyman.
So is TV show going to be about bail bondsing?
I think
bail
so.
bondsman?
Yeah, I'm gonna see. I'm gonna find out more.
Is he the new dog, the bounty hunter? Is he?
No, well, he's a bail bondsman, but he used to bounty hunt. So he's got some great stories. We're gonna have
Tell him definitely. I want to have him on the podcast.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have like he's because he's got some amazing clients. So he's got some. We're gonna have some stripper girls gonna talk about the hustling world and shit, dude.
Oh,
he's gonna
nice.
Get some people in that were goons for some pimps, and gonna get some good greasy Vegas stories. Yeah,
that's gonna be a good one.
So. But yeah, that's my boy Mikey. So if you guys, if you see anything attached to the Think Stopper podcast, he's the other crew.
Okay, well, cool, man. Well, good luck with the podcast. Keep that going, and thank you for having the conversation.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
All right, there we go. That episode is done. Did you make it all the way through? Did you listen to the whole episode? Did you get to, did one part or another trigger you in such a way that you had to turn it off, or you had to, wash your ears out with bleach and peroxide, or a combination of both? Did any of that stuff bother you? Did you hear an opinion or an idea or a suggestion that just bothered you to no end? Well, I tell you what, after that burp, number one, excuse me, but number two, I'm sorry, right? Again, gave everybody plenty of warning. And that's what you're going to get at this podcast. You're going to get a little bit of everything. Some things you're going to like, some things you're not going to like. Some episodes you're going to enjoy for the content. Some you're going to be like, it's not a topic for me. And same thing goes with ideas, man. It is what it is. I love Trever to death. Very funny dude. And I love the work that he does with his podcast. And I'm glad I got to have the conversation with him. And I'm glad we actually had independent thought. That was the goal, right? Independent thought, not following along with the herd and asking questions. Yeah, so we did that. Not a problem. Nobody was hurt. Everything's good, right? Yeah. Anything else? Oh, my voice is still going, man. I got to get out of here. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for being listeners. Thank you for being so supportive of the podcast, and also for the CD. Since my CD's release, I get, at least an order a week from a podcast listener who discovered me via the podcast and who's now checking out my comedy. And God, that means so much to me, man. I'm getting, great reviews from you guys. And I don't know if you've ever done that. If you ever took your creation, something you've made, whatever it be, it art or sculpture or poetry or dick tracings, whatever, and you just put them in the world and let the world consume them, it shakes you a little bit the first time you do it. At least it has for me. And to get the positive feedback that I've gotten from my album, it's humbling. So I really, really appreciate it. Got a tear in my eye already just thinking about it, because I'm becoming a big softy in my aging years. But thank you guys. I really, really, really appreciate it. If you haven't got a chance to get it yet, or you want to get a copy of the CD, just go to the website, filterfreeamerica.com, Filter Free America, America misspelled with a K.com, and go to the store section. And then from there, you'll find a link to all the different ways you can either download it, get you a copy, or whatever. So it's available for you. I hope you guys check it out. I'm proud of it, and everybody seems to like it. Also, again, thank you to sponsors, simplewebsite.us, simplewebsite.us, simplewebsite.us. That's the place you need to go if you need help building your Squarespace website. They will be more than happy to do that. And again, one last reminder, please take time to rate and review the Filter Free America podcast, especially if you're an iTunes user. Run on over there right now. Give that 5 stars. Give a sweet review. Let the world know that you enjoy the show, and help the world discover the show as well. All right, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go gargle some salt water and go eat some medicated vagina or something to clear my throat out. I love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Help take care of the world, with possible nuclear wars popping out in parts of the planet, and presidents, scrambling, trying to cover up lies, and crazy actors faking racial attacks on them. The only way to defeat that shit, man, is just to look at your fellow human as just that, a fellow human being. Love each other for who we are, man. We're just people. That's all we are. Don't forget to spay and neuter your pets and children. Keep seeking the truth. And I'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye-bye.